So some of us are live, and
out cameras.
I'm just figuring out where to go live on my computer.
Hi, Michelle.
And I think we're away.
Is that your glass of mine? That's right. Oh, that's mine now.
We're good. We are
ready to go.
We are live in Josie's place here near Stanthorpe, and we have multiple streams going, so we'll all be looking at different cameras at different times.
Hi everybody, this is Josie Howard. I'm going to stop Greg speaking for one moment while I just introduce. So I have a new project that's starting called Dinner Date in Queensland, and it's all about promoting local producers, local and actually getting local wineries and getting people on board to actually start going out again, because I think a lot of people have started going out. Tonight it is just at my place, which is really interesting, but I have some fabulous people with me. I have Farmer Greggy from For Real Milk, and I have Paola. What is your last name?
No, I would say my full name because
triple double barreled. So
Paola Andrea Cabezas Bona.
There you go. From Robert Shannon Wines, who is beautiful, and I've got Daryl here, Nicholson from 4350 TV.
Howdy.
Who's in for some interesting discussion as well. So we're all doing live feeds for different reasons. So Greggy, you go next. Your live feed opener.
Yeah, well, look, hey, it's a funny world we live in, and it's interesting what you're doing, trying to get conversations happening again, Josie, because I think we've lost the art of direct communication. But at the same time, I love social media for the fact that we can connect with people from a distance. Yep. And it's not always convenient to see people. And we just started chatting again a few weeks ago because, you know, we both had our challenges in recent times, but you kind of reached out and we had a chat, and I knew you were here, and I heard you were moving to Townsville, and I was like, we've been talking about doing a podcast.
Which is only really recent to lots of people. Most people don't know.
Oh, right. Sorry if I let the cat out of the bag.
No, it's all good now. Told the family.
Everybody knows now. I just said it. But you know, we were talking about doing a podcast.
For ages.
Yeah, for ages, and we met, I guess,
a few years ago, actually.
Probably 3 or 4 years ago, and you were running as a senator for.
I was actually running for the lower house. So
oh, you were running for the lower house.
Got the highest vote outside of South Australia for the next team. So
and that was 2016.
Yeah.
When you were running, so we sort of had a fair bit to do with each other then, and through the Toowoomba farmer markets, but.
Yeah. And you came and did a forum for me too, so
yeah,
they're a really difficult part of your life. So that was
that was fun. That I was kind of in autopilot that day. It was a bit of a blur, but so we can connect through social media, and as a lot of people do through the Farmer Greggy space and For Real Milk, and I think it's awesome to be able to keep that connection happening. But that turned into us being here together tonight.
A very interesting group of people.
It is. It's cool. So we'll have a bit of a chat across a lot of.
So this side of the table's drinking wine still. This side of the table has moved on to coffee.
Even though I'm a beer drinker, but Paola has made this wine, so I'm very appreciative of her.
Actually, you got like 4 glasses.
And I think there's more. But
it's very good wine. You should try it sometime if you're a wine drinker.
So please meet Paola. She is a wonderful, wonderful winemaker from Robert Shannon Wines and has worked around Australia. One of the very few female winemakers in at least Queensland, if not Australia.
I used to be the only female cheese winemaker in Queensland.
Okay.
Now I have another 2 who I will tell soon about that. But yes, I think female winemakers, we only 10% of winemakers in Australia are females, and only 3% are not family members. Means I'm very rare.
Very, very rare.
You're as rare as a dairy farm these days. We're a dying breed too.
Dairy farmer. So I actually asked Paola. I let Paola know that I liked the only Chardonnays I liked would be buttery Chardonnays. And
I make few Chardonnays, and I was like, I
brought them tonight. So Greg's changed his mind about wine.
They're okay. I've been telling Paola they're better than okay. They're really, really nice.
Sensation.
What the other one was? I cooked peas.
I even ate her peas. Mum, if you're watching, you'll be very proud of the fact that I ate peas tonight.
I put a lot of prosciutto.
It
Was
was.
a lot of prosciutto.
So you didn't get
Prosciutto.
to see the meal. It was an amazing
See,
meal tonight.
Plant food and animal food are a match made in heaven. You've got to eat them together, not just plants on their own. You know, join the two.
So what are you talking about there, Greg?
We'll probably go
We're
there
talking
later.
soon.
There might not be much later. I reckon there's going to be a lot of banter before we get to later. Bring it up now.
Well, we should take it out to Daryl
Yeah.
before
Oh,
we go too
Daryl.
much further.
Of course.
Can you get into my camera too? Because I know we actually have about 4 cameras going. Mine is
I'll
the
move
most
I'll see if I can move it back a little
primitive.
bit.
Yes.
Sorry,
And so
just watch
I've
out
only
for my
got
hand
a
for a
few that's
sec.
in the.
Too many bottles of wines and we're together.
Okay.
There you go. There's
That's
Daryl.
got me in there. So, g'day Toowoomba, out in Stanthorpe, 4380 postcode.
I'm going international. I
And you're
have
going international.
like a lot of people all around the world
Yeah,
watching this.
good. Well, you know my channel, it does go international as
Yeah,
well, and we do things. But
Absolutely.
just quickly, Josie, there's Mel's on there, Malika Ungaran.
Mel,
Yeah,
beautiful
she's watching
Mel, who
live.
makes beautiful Turkish
Yeah,
food.
John
in
Leween
Toowoomba.
and Samantha Moyer, the Warrior Woman. So thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Took the trip out here, absolutely beautiful food tonight. Dinner conversations have been quite interesting. We talked about our early starts to this year and some of the challenges we've had and where we're going. So let's get into it, I guess. Welcome Toowoomba and welcome the world.
Welcome everybody across all of our live feeds tonight.
Yes.
I think that there's probably a mix of people, but a lot of them probably have really similar motivations around community and food. Excluding the vegans, no.
Sorry.
That
And
was
sorry,
a pun.
I feel a bit rude.
I have beautiful vegan
I'm looking
friends.
down at I've just got my phone on the table. I'm going to try and keep a bit of an eye on any comments coming in on my feed. But-
I'm not, because my phone is against a bottle of Scenic Rim milk, and so it is there positioned perfectly so that it can capture everybody on the screen. We're being very primitive and organic. It's wonderful.
And I'm coughing. That's my life. I know.
This is cold winter. So everybody, I'm moving to Townsville. Stanthorpe is extraordinarily cold. Love the place. Very, very cold. And Paola has had a cough for 4 weeks. Is it? 5 weeks. I don't need that. Life's too short. I'm moving to Townsville where it's beautiful and warm. Some say too warm in summer, but I'll find that out and
You
adjust.
just spend the time in the water.
That's what I figure. Aircon and water.
Well, it's always-
How could it be wrong? What a perfect
My motto
combination.
always was, is you could make wine in a tropical island. I will be in a tropical island.
You can come visit me in Townsville. and just
Australia is
show me
almost a
out.
tropical island.
No, no,
just
Stanthorpe.
not this part of Australia.
Yeah, no.
We're in Stanthorpe at the
I thought
moment.
I'd actually move to far north Queensland. It was never a place on my agenda to move to, but I've fallen in love with it. The water's like the Mediterranean. It's beautiful.
The Strand's a nice spot, really nice
The
spot.
Strand's gorgeous.
But it does get hot up there. I was up there in the 70s when Dad was in the military. And I remember it hit 50 degrees and the train lines buckled. So
I do not need to know that.
Okay. I just wanted to-
And it's
saying,
a
I don't need to know that
different
at the
sun.
Yeah.
It's like
I've been I've been there through winter and autumn, and I can say it is the most beautiful place. It is just.
yeah.
And the Strand, the council have invested into music and festivals and art and culture along the Strand, and there are restaurants, and my God, how many dogs are there? Like there are just there's so many dogs along the Strand. I'm pretty sure the per capita per dog thing is just
It's
blown
very
out of
high.
proportion in Townsville along the Strand. But it is such a beautiful place in the world. But you know what? Those places like Toowoomba and stuff too, and Stanthorpe. So I'm like a huge advocate of people just getting out. Get out. Go to
But
cafes.
I
Go
would
to
say
restaurants.
that Toowoomba is amazing. Like, I've been here 20 years and
Yeah.
Toowoomba have changed so much in the last
It
5
has.
years. Stanthorpe looked the same. I was very depressed 15 years ago. We watched a video of the Luca. The Luca is in the small winemaker shop, the trophy, the Shiraz trophy is the Luca trophy. Was the first man who planted Shiraz in the gravel. And he used to make movies in the 30s.
Wow.
And we watched a movie, and I was like, was the library, was the depuration water place, was everything that was happening at the time.
Yeah.
Is what happened in Stanthorpe. That's it. Happened
Can
40 years ago, and nothing else happened.
So it's interesting because I know Daryl has lived in Toowoomba for a long time. I lived there for 9 years.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when I first got there, I thought, oh my God, I thought I had a proper airport. didn't.
No.
Wagner's, thank you. They put in a proper airport, which is brilliant for Toowoomba. But the whole food scene changed in Toowoomba. And so in the last 5 years, the food scene in Toowoomba has been remarkable. And I'm glad to have been a part of that. I've helped connect some restaurants and farmers and things. And look, still it's not perfect and it doesn't work perfectly, but there is far more of an awareness now around the idea, and you'd appreciate this, Greg, around local food, getting it into places where people can access it, people actually accessing it. Kristen O'Brien from Darling Downs, brilliant job trying to connect restaurants and getting people out into local restaurants. But the whole food scene in Toowoomba has changed unbelievably in the last 5 years. Like,
it's still a challenge though, where public
a lot
perception.
of them close. Because people don't go out.
Well, it's like it's happening, but they need to be supported by the people. So I think there's a lot of people within the food industry trying to do the right thing and supporting local as a business, but they need the support of the consumer, the customer.
They do. And do you know what I always say? Whose responsibility is that? I actually think, so Paul Antonio, Bill Cale, Joe Ramia, Carol, everybody, I actually think there's a role for council to play in that, because council have the opportunity to actually promote campaigns to people in the community to support going out. So Toowoomba is a brilliant place, right? But as soon as there's a bit of drizzle, as soon as there's a bit of rain, as soon as there's a bit of anything...
Isn't that a lot of the time in Toowoomba?
No,
not really?
It used to be, but not so much in the last 5 years.
Okay.
But the trick is, how do you get people to keep going out? Like, I mean, it's a real trick, but
it's very hard.
Business confidence has been very low, admittedly, and so that's been really, really
I
tough.
have a dinner with the agriculture minister from Queensland. I think I have this dinner in the car, probably 8 years ago. I was invited to
Did you say in their car?
ECA.
Oh, in their car.
Brisbane exhibition.
Brisbane exhibition,
Sorry.
my English, I need translation.
Okay, just clearing
And
that up for
everybody's
anyone else
free
who
to
heard
translate
that.
me anytime. But we was a meeting with the minister, and was people from the meat industry, was people from the dairy industry, was people from strawberries. I was the only winemaker, and we were talking, and was from South Queensland to North Queensland, was all over the place. All of us, every individual one was like, we need promotion awareness. We need money to promotion. No, we can't. The answer was, for every question, no, we cannot do that, because that is a patronizing, like the China do. Like, you cannot put money in the industry to.
Yeah, but that's actually not the way it works, though, right? So in
but that was the
I know.
minister answer
I
for
know.
every, because they if you
I
do
know.
the beef campaign and a strawberry
I know.
campaign and a milk
Yeah,
campaign, eat milk from Queensland. No, we cannot do that.
So can I suggest to you, all I'm suggesting is a slip, slop, slap campaign for people actually going out, enjoying food, and patronising local joints, right? So the idea is not that it's just purely campaigning to support a particular industry, well, except the hospitality industry, right? Because when you look at it, let's look at trickle down. So from hospitality, it trickles down to all those producers, right? Wine, beef, strawberries, whatever. And so the idea, well, what I believe should happen is councils should be more proactive, and I did notice Joe Ramia was watching before.
Okay.
Did he check out when you said council should?
He may have. Don't know if Paul was watching from Toowoomba. I'm in the Southern Downs now, completely different councils. But
Well, we can take council here too.
not in council yet, so they're safe. But, the idea being that councils and local government can have a role in actually supporting hospitality and that whole circular kind of economy around food and hospitality and local producers. And then the trick is then too getting local restaurants and cafes and things to actually purchase from local providers. I get it's not an easy thing to do. Like when you've got a wholesale provider and they're buying from some sort of central markets, either from Brisbane or somewhere, it's a hard thing to do. But that idea of connecting people together again is extraordinarily powerful. It's been happening in Toowoomba for the last, I know at least the last 3 or 4 years since I've been around in that space in a big way there. But it can happen anywhere where you actually get people starting to connect. I mean, why is it that a restaurant's premium wines are not some of the local wineries in the Granite Belt or even in Toowoomba?
Oh, but they say when I was in Brisbane 2 weeks ago on the ECA wine show,
Yeah.
and we were with South Australia and Victoria winemakers, and I felt like an outsider because the restaurant people know all the guys was in the table, and I said, and no one knows who I am. You know?
No, and so there's
and you are in Queensland, and people doesn't drink their own product.
No, and there's a huge opportunity. So I remember, I studied wine marketing at Roseworthy College, right? And I remember back then we did laugh at the guy who came from the winery from Queensland. You know, that was a long time, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We laughed at him.
Who was?
I don't remember now. Some young bloke. I don't know. He did really well. I can't remember. But, you know, that idea of Queensland wines was not a big thing then. So it's still a really young industry. But so are all the other ones in
But the same
Australia
thing with the
pretty
cheese.
well.
You know, like you making cheese.
We all love
Yeah,
cheese.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Farmer
But
Gredy's cheeses.
Greggy's
But-
cheese.
and in
For
Queensland,
real.
from real.
For real
Mhm.
cheese.
But in the market, a Yarra Valley cheese will have more value, perception value.
Or South Cape from Tassie or
or
South
whatever.
Australia. Yeah.
We still have, and that is very annoying. As an adopted Queenslander that I am, 20
Yeah.
years here.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think-
I'm only 59. I'm from New South Wales.
21.
Sorry, everyone.
I think that perception of no
Is that why you're
value.
moving further away from New South Wales so you can be
Who'd have
considered more
thought
of a
Move up to
Queenslander?
cowboy country, but you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I
yeah.
even have their app on my phone.
But that lack of value local product as agriculture product in Queensland is constant. You know, like you're going to, you know, like how many
you know-
local products in Brisbane
Well, can I say,
restaurants are?
let's look at a really basic one. So I'm going to turn around now and look at Greg.
Yeah.
Milk. We still have Queensland milk, right?
But probably not for long. And,
No, like,
and look, this is really interesting, and I'm not going to name anyone today.
except your own brand.
But no, I'm not going to name any of our
Competitor.
No.
any of our stores. But when we as For Real Milk, just a little family company, we had been absorbing all of the price rises
Mm-hmm.
that has been happening within, like, on our farm and in our factory, and we didn't have a price rise on our milk for 3 years until last year. And February last year, we actually raised the price of our milk by 5 cents a litre.
Mm-hmm.
5 cents. And we lost, on the back of that, we lost our second and third biggest cafe.
Oh wow.
Because they said, well, your price was already marginal, and then that pushed you over the edge. But since then, you know, it's nearly 18 months since we had that price rise. We haven't shifted our price since then. You guys all know what's been going on with the drought. You know, Coles and Woolies both put the price up by 10 cents a litre on the dollar milk. So it's now $1.10. And I see recently in store, because I'm in store a lot, and doing tastings, visiting, talking to people, and A2 has gone from $4.80 to $4.95 across all their stores. Yet, just yesterday, I had one of my local, very supportive cafes ring and ask if we could cut the price. And I kind of said, you know, we were thinking about putting our price up, not down. Like, we can't be lowering our price.
So this is the only industry, right, where CPI actually does not impact food at all. It actually, you constantly ask. And so I've been working with a beautiful vinegar company. They make the most amazing vinegars.
Hey, that's a different colour. I might have to try this one soon. I've only been drinking
poured it.
white so far.
It's actually it's quite complex actually for a Pinot. So the thing is that we constantly think we should pay less for food, but that's but the problem is that when you start to pay less for food, something is compromised every single time, because labour costs are not going down, the cost of food manufacturing is not going down, power is not going down.
Yep.
Nothing is
So-
going down.
That's right.
So why do we expect food
So
prices
Josie,
to
in
go
the
down?
in
And
the
I'm a big
milk
believer in-
space, in the
Yeah.
milk space in Queensland, in the last 7 years, we've lost 40% of our dairy farmers. Gone. 40%. And
Which is huge.
And this particular cafe who told us we need to drop our price, you know, they suggested we have to drop our price by 90 cents for a 2 litre bottle,
Oh, God.
because I'm guessing that's what the Norco price is. Now, we've got cafes in Queensland saying we're going to support Norco or Paul's or dairy farmers because their price is down here and the for real price is here. But those companies are processing 200 million litres of milk a year. I'm a family farm doing 1.5 million litres of milk a year. And by the way, just in case you didn't already know, a lot of the Norco, Paul's and dairy farmers' milk is coming from south of the Queensland border because they're paying their farmers below the cost of production. I mean, I've got lots of good friends who have just had enough and they can't keep going.
And you can't, and when you factor in the drought and the extra cost of feed at the moment and for a number of years.
Definitely.
So my other big question, this is an agricultural question, this is one of my big things. Why is it that we do not have a federal agricultural policy? And why is it that we do not have agriculture at the top of our pile of industries? And there are constant excuses around, oh, we can't favour somebody or anything. But as a country...
But they really have to favour corn.
Well,
With
do you know what?
time of the
They
day.
actually say they don't. What they
Can't
actually
we
say is they
favour
look
the
at...
people who keep everybody alive, though? Shouldn't we favour the people who grow the food that keep us all alive in some sense?
We were talking about this earlier too before we drank so much.
We haven't been. No, she
Okay, well,
has.
that's just me thinking I had.
You're
But
just
anyway.
blushing.
I have a coffee.
But my thing too is that, you know what we do in this country is we get the big end of agriculture to compete against the little end of agriculture, and there's this constant competition. Can we not just actually say, this is agriculture? There are some big players, there are some people who want to stay small, there are some people in the middle, but let's just put agriculture together and go, this is one of our most, this is actually not one of our most, this is the most important industry in Australia.
It should be our
And-
future in Australia.
Well, it should be right up there, so it makes decision making really easy, right?
Well,
if we actually had it right up
food
there.
is going to be
You know,
the most important thing in the
Well,
world.
it already
in the
is,
future.
and food security. So our country does not have a food security plan. We've got a few councils who have, you know, been progressive and have created food security plans. Toowoomba looked at it for a while. The Rudd government, I think, looked at it for a while, which is where the AFSA came from, the Australian Food Sovereignty Alliance came from, and they've been going great guns and growing over the last few years. But how do we actually create a situation in this country where we recognise that, and food security is a really broad term, it's everything from being able to access markets to being able to access food,
Water.
to being able to access water, to being able to grow food, to having people being able to access food. So even people who are homeless or possibly not in a situation to afford food, to be able to access food. And I'm Lebanese, right? So for me, you're talking to somebody who food was at the pinnacle of everything we did. Like, I mean, it was on the table all the time. You were being chased around as a baby, having spoons being shoved in your mouth. It, you know, so, and this is fresh food that's been...
So my theory on what you're talking about there, Josie, is that food, we have become complacent in Australia because we have a very big capacity to grow food with a very small population. So we've always had a massive surplus.
I think we're growing, we provide 80 to 90% of our food consumption here in Australia, which is actually very high.
93. It's actually
93,
93%
So
of
compared to most countries
Australian
that do not
consumed
do
food
that,
is grown by Australians.
Yeah, and we could
And
probably provide 100%
We
if
can
we
actually feed
create
somewhere around
biosecurity
80
risks.
million people
Yeah.
around the world. Our population is 24
So
million.
the other thing is around biosecurity risks, right? Like, why are we importing, anybody who is benefiting from imported food? I don't mind manufactured imported food. I go, sure, fair enough, it's manufactured offshore, we're importing the manufactured food. But when it's fresh produce, my God, why are we doing that in this country?
just
We
why?
have the perfect opportunity to market, as a nation, a really clean food product
Yeah.
that is not tainted from biosecurity risks, and yet we keep doing it. And I know there are, I don't know, I just kind of want the government to get some balls.
As a bit of an outsider, Daryl, like, what do you make of that? Like,
Well,
that's
I don't know.
a strange situation.
Has Trump got it right by putting some borders up and just not letting the food in? Maybe?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
Trump
know.
doesn't have it right.
No.
Sorry. Cannot go there.
But
Cannot
can
go
we just
there.
stop the food
But-
coming in?
Yeah, well, do you know?
No,
so
but
for
then
me,
It's about the balance of
it's
trade
but it's
from a
actually-
government
but
point
it's
of view,
actually-
but it's a flawed balance.
But whereas in a unique situation. We're an island, right?
Yep.
We have the perfect opportunity. We don't have borders everywhere, people crossing borders everywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
We have the perfect opportunity to mitigate our biosecurity risks. You know, and my thing is, it's not that I'm suggesting that we don't import any foods, not at all, because I think that's really important for trade. My thing is that we don't import fresh foods.
Yeah,
Because,
I'm with you.
Because that creates a major biosecurity
My
risk,
personal issue,
which has happened numerous times.
who I think is Queensland, south of Queensland is small. Spain, and I lived in Spain for 12 years, my 20 years here and whatever. Spain is only 1/3 of Queensland.
Yep.
It's even that, and you have 40 million people living in an arid country, and growing fruit and growing everything. Australia have a terrible water policy. We're still an arid country. After 100 years, we're still an arid country. And you have this, it means it's not about that we should stop exporting food. We should export food, not importing food, because we should be producing so much food, so cheap,
and
because we have the land. The problem is have 80% of the land is unproductive, because
And that's what I'm saying.
one year we get the flood, and 2 years later we get the drought.
Yeah.
And if the government doesn't spend any money to balance that,
No.
you cannot have flood and you spend millions of dollars on recovering from the flood, and then you spend millions of dollars to recover on subsidies. We become an African country, you know, like you have no money, no food, and you give money for it. And what do you do with the floods? Oh, the insurance pay you money because you flooded, and then they pay you money because you're on the drought.
And sometimes the insurance doesn't pay you money as a farmer, and
Yeah.
that's really hard.
And they make it,
So-
and then
but that's exactly
we're going
right.
to go to the next question. We're going to talk later about mental health. Because this
If we get
circle
there.
of we're getting a drought and
Yeah.
we're getting a flood, people this year on North Queensland.
One of us probably should keep an eye on the time.
Why?
Right?
We women talking, we can talk for hours.
I suppose if people
We've already been
get sick
talking
of
for
what we're
hours.
talking about, they can just check
Yeah.
out and go to bed.
Well,
we're
there's
not
been
gonna
some
keep-
interesting people
we're not gonna
watching.
keep an eye on the
I can
time,
see
we're just gonna
a couple
talk.
of other winemakers have been online watching, which
Cool.
is really interesting.
I see my
Ray's
mum's
been on,
watching.
Sonia's been on.
G'day Brenda, I'm sorry you missed a bit about, I said I ate
Hi,
peas for tea
Sonia.
tonight, and they were
And he
beautiful.
did eat peas. I
They
can
were
guarantee
awesome.
he
I
ate
took
the
a photo
peas.
of my plate.
He drank wine, ate peas. Ticked 2 boxes.
Yeah, not usually a fan of either.
I feel very special.
Yeah, I told you,
Well,
you've
he took
changed.
me-
I'm a changed man because of you, Carla.
Last year he took me. Where did you took me? You took me to the pub in Eka.
The Stockmans. We went to the Stockmans at the Eka.
Yes.
Went
I never had
dancing.
that experience. He's a great dancer.
He can dance. He knows.
Hi, Sonia.
Hey,
See you
and
soon.
this is quite amazing because I turn up here tonight and I already knew Josie and Paola and I had never met Daryl and we're just talking about so what's your connection
He was
here,
a wild
Daryl?
card.
Yeah, and it turns out
Sorry, Daryl.
he is a part of the reason that I am who I am to this day because he used to DJ at Rumours in Toowoomba
In the 80s, yeah.
in the 80s and
Hey,
if
people,
Thea, my
like
older
it if
sister,
you used to go to Rumours in the 80s, because I wasn't there, but I've heard so much about it.
it was the place to go in Toowoomba, and my older sister Thea, her first placement after uni was Toowoomba, and she was teaching, and I used to come up here and go out with friends in Toowoomba, and this man was the DJ who was literally playing MC Hammer. You can't touch this for me.
People on my Facebook Live cannot see Daryl's face.
Yeah.
It has a huge grin
Go
on
to
it.
And if you can just turn the clock back to 1989.
Yep.
That was an era when blokes did not dance ever.
Which
like
year
blokes
was that?
didn't dance.
Sorry?
1989.
Until when?
Until ever. But I did,
Yeah.
and that's why everyone thought I was gay back in the day because I used to get on the floor and dance. I used to love dancing, especially the MC
Sorry,
Hammer
did you say lap dance?
dance.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
said lap dance. Sorry.
It might have been pole dancing. I think there was poles on the podiums at Runners
Oh, way
there.
too much
They
for
did have
Robert
dances up on the
Shannon.
stage, actually.
I remember getting kicked off
Yeah.
the dancers stage a couple of
Yeah.
times because I think
No.
that was for the girls.
Look,
Not me.
that place used to get packed in Powerhouse on a you know, Friday and Saturday night was just amazing. The entertainment we had back
I
then.
probably need to come back to Toowoomba to go to one of those
Well,
rehashed 80s, 90s nights, which I've never been to.
Watch this space Toowoomba. There's one coming up in October, but I haven't got a date yet. But,
Can you give me the date?
I'll let
Because
you know
I
the
will
date.
fly
It'll
back
be
from
great.
Townsville
It'll be
just to
great.
be in Toowoomba. And there are now flights from Toowoomba to Townsville.
That's right.
Isn't it great?
We
We've
could
got
do
some
another
regional
live of
airlines
Farmer Greggy
doing this.
dancing at Rumours with Daryl DJ. It'll be like a reenactment. A 30-year reenactment.
Will you have hair again?
Literally 30 years.
We're going with the
You
wig.
can wear hair.
I love my hair now. I used to have to use a blow dryer and product back in the day to make my hair look good. Now I just put a hat on and I don't even have hat hair when I take the hat off.
So this is funny. I can see one of my daughter's, 23-year-old daughter's friends watching now, and we used to do girls' road trips together. So that was really interesting. And Amy, hi, darling. I miss you. I miss those road trips together.
Cool.
And I keep coughing in the background. That's my
That's right.
music. I could do it like a hammer.
Yeah.
The MC Hammer. Yeah, so just with some exciting stuff coming out of Toowoomba, I just want to share this. Wagner's are flying, not Wagner's, Oaky Beef are flying beef out every week on Tuesday.
Oaky
Overseas.
beef are actually amazing.
Yeah,
Like I had
kilos, yeah.
my
Think
second date with my ex-boyfriend. We actually were at the Spotted Cow, and Oaky Beef were there doing a company thing. They
Okay.
paid for all our drinks.
Oh,
Don't
right.
know why.
Okay, that's
They just did. But
And-
they are a great
and where's
bunch
that
of guys.
going
I don't know
to?
if you're going.
It's going over to
They're exporting everywhere,
yeah,
aren't they?
it's going via America and different
Oh.
countries over in the Asian market.
So
Awesome.
And Tuesday I'm going out to the airport with Greg Johnson and Russell Mineral Equipment are flying mineral equipment overseas to China as well. So
has anybody heard about Matitso chocolates?
the
That-
Titso chocolates, no.
So Magdalena Smith and
Yeah.
her husband
Mm-hmm.
set up a little while ago. They were at the Toowoomba Farmers Market,
Mm-hmm.
and they have been winning international award after international award after international award.
Okay.
And this is not chocolatiers. They are actually chocolate manufacturers. They
Right.
are importing in, and they know the people who they're importing their chocolate cocoa beans from,
Mm-hmm.
and they're making chocolate in Toowoomba. So
Okay.
it is the only place in Queensland, and one of the very few places in Australia that's actually manufacturing chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going great guns. But my thing is, people don't know about them still,
Mhm.
right? And then they should be one of the biggest export stories out of Queensland,
Mhm.
let alone the Darling Downs. And they are just doing remarkable things.
Okay.
And
Well,
I just think
didn't
it's
know
like
that.
what the
Mm.
wineries too, right? Like
Yeah.
there are some really great stories, but people do not know about them because either, you know, when you own a small business, you're so caught up in everything that's happening, you're doing bits and pieces, but you're not getting quite the same exposure. And I guess that's been one of my biggest things. I love sharing the stories of the farmers and food businesses of wherever I am, and right across Australia actually, but I guess I've been in the Downs, Darling Downs and the Granite Belt for a little bit now, so I'm pretty passionate about those
Mhm.
regions.
Mm.
And Toowoomba especially has some great stories, and they're not coal
And-
stories,
and more
right?
and
They're not
more-
coal, they're
No.
food.
More
They're
and
really,
more,
really
Josie.
cool things. So
The
I
people,
make
like,
wine. I make it this year. I make wine for a Toowoomba business.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, what
Yes.
is it?
fun.
Oh, Rosalie sells.
Yes. My,
Oh,
I
Rosalie.
cannot be a
Did
politician.
Did you do
because
Rosalie sell it
Rosalie?
all.
I'm making
Oh,
Rosalie. And the Syrah is
Renee,
absolutely
they're
amazing.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I love those guys. So they came to the farmers markets before they opened their cellar
yes,
doors.
and,
And they're going great guns. Rosalie House, beautiful place.
Yes,
right?
I will be bottling the Syrahs in 3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very-
Fabulous success story, right? They're
Yeah.
They are really
Amazing.
great guns.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Darling Downs has done a few events there too. So Kristen has done, I remember an event not long ago. Oh, I miss those lunches, right? Like I've been away too long. But Darling Downs do regular lunches in Toowoomba and the Darling Downs region where they actually help the community. And it's not just women anymore on Fridays, it's women and men who actually go along and connect and have wonderful lunches with fabulous local produce.
So-
I think we were heading towards a discussion on mental health in rural areas.
Okay, first
Yes.
we do a cheese
You
because
just got to do the
in a
cheese.
Spanish tradition, every time the glasses are full,
Oh, can I-
you cheese.
Can I have a more full
Oh,
glass?
it's
Sorry, my
Because
was not that full.
We haven't say cheese and it's
thirsty
something
work,
with
all
it.
this talking.
Because we say in Spanish we say salud.
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 That means house. means help for everybody, not just us.
Absolutely. And this is your wine. You made this.
Yes, I mean.
Yep.
And just in case, like for anyone who doesn't know, Paola was originally from Argentina.
Yep.
But also, Spanish is your language in Argentina.
No, I left Argentina when I was
Teenager?
1 or 2 to live in Brazil for a few years. And
In
then,
Brazil.
And then we go back to Argentina, and then I lived.
And what age back to Argentina? What
I
age?
think I was 4 or 5.
Yep.
Because I remember kindergarten. I started kindergarten.
And then until you were a teenager in Argentina.
17, I left to Spain.
Yep.
I lived 12 years in Spain, where I started winemaking.
Was the culture similar being a Spanish-speaking country, or was it felt like a different culture
I feel more
of
related,
the people?
I feel more related to Australia because Australia is immigrants. Spain was the people who didn't live. You know,
Like
you
New
guys
South
live-
Wales and Queensland.
Yeah, you know,
Spain was very patriotic,
not patriotic,
Spanish.
but traditional.
traditional.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. The traditions are great, but my friends in Spain, they used to buy an apartment next 100 meters away from the mother. You know, and I was like,
Oh, I know all about that. Hey, Mum, I lived 20 metres away from you until I got kicked out of that house, and I still live 20 metres away from you on the house on the other side.
and for me that, you know, all my family come from different parts of Europe and come to Argentina, you know, because we are second generation, fourth generation Europeans.
Right.
It was very strange for me, people who would buy a house 100 meters away from the mother. That was very, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's a good thing,
that's
isn't it?
actually quite common.
No, for
Family.
me,
No.
no, not for the family point of view, but for the, you know, you're 22 and you're living next to your mom.
Mm.
You know, I have traveled. I know I probably travel too much and I do too much. And
You
I
can
have,
never do too much. It's
I
not
know,
too much.
yeah, it's an experience. I feel that these people, you know, they were buying houses when I was doing curriculum, you know, and I have very good curriculum. I love my shop, but I think they were not doing life.
Mm.
They were doing what they know life.
Shall we go down the philosophical track now?
Oh yes. We are
Sounds
on.
like you're looking into it.
Well, I sort of, you mentioned before about depression and or mental health at least, but like all four of us have had our challenges, and
that's within ourselves and with family and
Sure.
right across the board, right? So
yeah,
I think there are very few people. It'd be hard for anyone to say they haven't been touched by mental health.
I have an expression. I do comedy. Sometimes.
you do stand up, not just comedy,
She does
stand up.
stand-up, yeah. She does.
The hardest kind of comedy.
But you know, people say that 1 in 3 people have a mental health issue once in a lifetime. I have never met the other 2. But it's true, you know, they say 1 in 3. I said, well, really, every person that you meet
Yeah.
at some point has a mental
I
issue.
think the other two are lying. But it's funny when you're going through whatever you're going through, because we all go on our own journey, but it always feels like nobody would understand what I'm going through, and they might not quite understand what you're going through, but
you feel that, or
that's how you feel.
is it that you're afraid of sharing?
No,
Because
you
don't
totally
have a
feel
reaction?
they wouldn't know what
Well,
I'm
see,
going
I don't
through.
know. I sort of feel like I don't want to put it on them. You know, like so when I'm going
Yeah.
through a really tough time, I'm such a happy, positive person.
That's a really
that
funny thing.
I actually don't like to share it when I'm not really happy.
So
and
here's the
positive
funny thing,
because
Josie, because like I get what you're saying, because I don't want to
I don't want to
dump
bring people
on other
down.
people.
My thing is,
But
I
you know
like
what?
to motivate and inspire
I'm
people.
happy for them to share with me if I can help them.
Oh yeah, no, I did
So
that.
we're a pair of hypocrites.
Oh,
We are
without a question.
Totally hypocritical because we both helped each other at times.
But
Yeah.
it depends.
Yet we're both thinking we don't want to really dump
But-
our problems on somebody else. Yet we're happy to help somebody else.
Without a question.
But I think because when you love someone, for me it's very hard when I have a crisis to tell my parents.
Mm.
You know, because the people who will support me the most, I told you, totally unjudgmental. If I'm in a bad place, they will be there for me no matter what.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if the people will suffer the most if you are in a bad place,
yeah.
and,
Well, do you
and you
know-
don't want to hurt
do you-
them at all.
Do you want to hear something funny? So I've known for the last 2 months that I want to move to Townsville. In a week I'm moving to Townsville. Today, I've not contacted my family as much as humanly possible. Today I sent a text to my whole family and some beautiful friends that I have to let them know I'm moving to Townsville in a week. And because I was hoping that things would work and I'd be able to tick some boxes and say I've got this happening, I've got a house, I've got this. Nothing's happened, right? So I'm just moving to Townsville with nothing, and it's like I was waiting for something.
Maybe it's just better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
It's
like you're going to get there and say, oh, by the way, I'm in Townsville now.
Well, I haven't heard from my sisters yet. They still haven't responded. Tony, Nicole, sorry.
I have a friend that she's
Unless they're watching.
She's so anti-marriage. So anti-marriage.
I'm not getting married in Townsville, definitely.
A friend,
my best friend, she have, she's not, I know in life, she's not here. But my best friend in Spain, she was so anti-marriage. Her husband was a military. He was in Lebanon, and to get her visa, to be able to get the cheap flights to travel there, she had to marry him.
Oh.
She was married.
That's
for
the wrong
5
reason.
years without telling anyone in the family.
Didn't tell her family.
I was the only person that know that they were actually married. And I said, I know I had to tell my family that I actually married Puma, but I can't because I was so against marriage.
But how is that with family? Like, so okay, so let's change this, right?
That was the amazing thing in the world that she never told.
So I love my sisters. I'm pretty outspoken, but you can ask anyone who has seen me with my sisters. I'm the quiet one, right? Like, so I'm the less dominant, quiet one. And so you go, what is this thing with the whole family dynamics, right? Where the youngest child is always the quieter one. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there.
Are you the youngest?
I am the youngest.
No,
I would have thought you were the oldest.
No,
Oh, no.
my little
No,
sister's never the
wait
quietest.
till you meet my elder sister.
Hey,
Gorgeous
if you
girl,
talk to
but,
my
you
older
know.
sister, she'd be happy to tell you the younger sister was not the quietest.
Okay.
Well, I might. So my sisters may think I'm a little more out there, but from a family dynamics perspective, my older sisters are my older sisters, and they are.
The power, they have the.
Well, so I heard a comedian the other day who did this stand-up thing, and he was like, you think through life that the dynamics of your siblings always stays the same, and the eldest one's the richest, the next one's the next richest, the youngest one's the least richest. He said, but I became a comedian, my next brother became a PE teacher, and my youngest brother became an accountant. And they used to steal the younger brother's Netflix account all the time. But Friday night, just for a stir, the younger brother would change his password. And they'd have to call him, and the younger brother would want a conversation. They just want the password. But yeah, but I guess I've been married to 2 accountants. Won't go there again. Anybody on Tinder? No, not doing accountants.
That's the only question that matters to you when you start dating. Are you an accountant?
No.
Hey, can I say, one got through. He didn't say he was an accountant. I started chatting to him, found he was an accountant.
We'll see you later.
But I think there's some merit around the idea of mental health and rural mental health and what that looks like, and when there are disasters and.
I have the best solution. I'm going to start. I start.
Does it have anything to do with drinking wine?
I said, my plan is I study
Medicine. Take medicine.
I go to
daily.
I study counseling. I really want to help people, and I really want to help people. I always say that I make wine and I cook on the weekends, but I make people happy, but I not really help them. I make babies sometimes.
What do you mean you make babies?
Oh, told me about.
You need to explain that.
How many bottles of wine you need to make a baby? I promise you, I can make 77 million liters of wine. I'm sure I can make babies.
I'm sure you have.
It's
It
guaranteed.
depends how you connect the dots,
Me-
right?
How you
really
connect
good.
the dots? I can make babies.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I can find
I'll
it.
take that.
Does the boy or the girl have to drink the wine to make the baby?
I'm not going into the what happened, but how many anyway? We adults here means how many times people have been pregnant after. Oh, I remember now. I remember now. And when they say I remember now,
Yeah.
It was you.
Yeah.
I was in Sydney. I probably wasn't drinking Graniteville wine. Sorry.
but when I say I was talking to a friend, I said when I start making my consulting, will be like we can have wine on our wine session, on our consulting session. We can have wine, and they can write the Weaver. I can use the material for comedy.
Good one, like that.
No, maybe 2 years time. In 2 years time, I will anything you say to me, I will make you shock.
Paula, it's interesting. So you're going to study to become a psychologist?
A diploma in counseling. Yeah, I will become
Counsellor.
a counselor.
Because when I went through depression 2010, I got diagnosed in 2010, and as I was recovering, I literally finished high school when I was recovering.
In 2010, you finished high school.
At the ripe old age of 40, I finished
okay,
high school,
sorry.
graduated.
I was
Yeah,
trying to do the numbers. I thought I
Yeah.
was usually okay at numbers, but that didn't make sense.
because I finished school at year 11
Okay.
and went home and worked on the farm,
Yeah.
and then I was like, at the point when I was recovering from depression, I literally thought we were going to lose the family farm. I couldn't see a future, and as I was recovering, I wanted to help, and I applied to, and I got accepted. I actually got accepted into the intake of 2011 for psychological science. I was going to become a psychologist, and as I started to get better, I thought, I'm not the right person for this job. I can't take on the baggage of other people. And then I got all excited again about opportunities on the farm, started the robotic dairy, started tours on the farm for real milk. All of that started on the back of my depression. But it's really interesting. I never studied to become a psychologist, but in a way, I've become, through social media, I've helped a lot of other people. Because I tell my story and people reach out to me in private messages, you know, that you know what I've been through, and
And isn't it
I
great?
love to help if I can.
And isn't it great when people come back to you and you haven't even known, and later on they say, you helped inspire me to do that, and you helped inspire me to be that.
And you've played a role in
love
somebody
that.
else's life that
Yeah.
you don't realise how many people you can touch just by being you.
And do you know
Like,
what they
and
don't
being
realise?
open
And
and-
often they don't realise how they've impacted you too.
No, it's a really
And
positive.
so it's a two-way street, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's I reckon it's really a one-way street. So whoever you've inspired or helped has often done the same for you, and so it's a really interesting, juxtaposition, I guess, around people and feelings and things. So can I actually explain my feelings on? So recently, in the last few months, I've kind of come to this conclusion that there are two types of people. So if this is narrowing
we're all
it
the same
right
sort of
down,
people
forget
here,
the
I think.
Myers-Briggs, everything else. I have actually come up with a conclusion. There are two people. There are the people who will feel emotions and make choices to feel emotions, and there are those who will do everything they can to avoid feeling emotions.
Okay. Yep.
So that's simplified right to a very basic level, right? And it goes down.
So instead of 16 personalities, you've just gone two. There's two, just two.
Pretty well.
But I would say that it's not people, it's times.
No, it's people.
But
Do you think people change, or
I
they?
think,
No,
I think
no,
people
sometimes-
can change.
No,
I think they can.
Not times, but sometimes people in a place,
Time in their life.
time of their life, that
No.
they're in a good place and they can help people, and it's
No,
in
no.
a bad time.
No.
that
This
we go.
is about actually making the most basic choices in life, right? And so you'll get people who are afraid to feel, or afraid, or they don't want to because it's too hard. And there are personality types
Yes,
that
that's true.
actually do not want to feel. They don't want to feel hate. They don't want to feel happiness. They don't want to feel sadness. They don't want to feel
Just in
joy.
case nothing. Yeah.
Good or bad. They just don't want to feel. They want to make choices that keep them in a steady thing that actually makes them not feel. And then you get people like me. And I know you, Greg.
Yeah,
After that,
then we just have to
I know you,
gush.
Greg. Yeah.
We just gush
And people
online.
people like us.
for everyone to
Like
see.
us.
Yeah. Well, probably all of us, right? Yeah, we
But there's
actually-
still, I think what
but you
Daryl was
make
thinking
choices.
before, Josie.
I'm moving to a place where I don't know where I'm going to live. Well, I've got to make sure I've got a temporary place now. Where my kids are going to school, what exact work I'm going to be doing there, and it's like you can imagine what I'm feeling, right? Like it's not steady anything.
Anxious excitement.
Anxious, excitement, stress, overwhelmed. I'm feeling a lot of things. I'm a passionate person, but
Is that
you know,
personality? I come to Australia.
yeah.
I don't speak English. I didn't speak English. None.
Mm.
None. When I left Argentina 10 years earlier than 12 years earlier, because it was 12 years in Spain,
Which year did you move to Australia?
in 2001. My English teacher in Argentina when I left.
You're legal. 18 years in Australia. You're now a legal Australian.
I've been in Australia for my exam, even if I'm dyslexic because I know so much about politics, took me 8 minutes to do an hour exam. But anyway, when I left Argentina, my English teacher told me I fail English every time, 100 times.
Pretty sure I failed Spanish.
And my English teacher passed me because was the only thing was holding me in Argentina was that exam. And she told me, I let you do this because you English is so bad that you and me know that you will ever in your life speak English. And I come to live in Australia.
Yep.
And
But
I work.
Can I say, I grew up with my grandmother speaking to me in Arabic.
Yep.
Okay. My mother occasionally speaking to me in Arabic.
Mm.
When I went to Lebanon,
You don't have a clue.
I had no clue. My sister had studied Arabic at uni and could read signs. I could understand what she was saying, but people would laugh at me if I tried to speak Arabic. But funnily enough, my mother, who lived for years and years in Australia, they would laugh at her in Lebanon and they would laugh at her in Australia because she did not have she had an Australian accent in Lebanon.
Do you mean they would laugh in Lebanese or laugh in Australian?
Yeah,
Both.
pretty much the
You
same.
you become a, you know, like I feel that a lot because I left Argentina when I was too young. It's when people say, oh, you should go back home. But if Trump was here and told me go back home, I don't really know where home is. You know, I don't really, I don't really have a home because you become alien. No, that is not. I don't want to say that Australia is home. Australia is home because my daughter born here. But doesn't feel like home. But Spain doesn't feel like home.
Can we go a bit Star Trek or Area 51? So
Yes.
my thing is that
I like that.
Area 50.
you like that. Well, it's topical.
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah.
How is someone an alien? Like, I mean, this is the thing. We keep, and I grew up. I think we all grew up as Catholic. Is that? Did you grow up
Yeah,
as Catholic?
Catholic, yeah. My
Yeah.
mum.
Yeah.
So we all
My
grew up
mum's
as
strict
Catholics,
Irish
right? So
Don't hold it against us.
yeah,
We're Catholic. We have a religion.
I
We're not
have-
big on
We
I
don't
have-
condone anything that's been happening
I have a cross around my
within the
neck.
Catholic Church recently.
Well, it wasn't recently.
Oh,
lots of
anytime.
years.
Anytime ever.
But you know, can I say there are some
And I have a
fantastic-
pope. I have to say just
The
because
current
I am
pope's
Catholic.
fabulous.
The pope is from Argentina.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's great. He's
well,
a
yeah.
Jesuit, but he's.
We have
But
charisma.
anyway, so I've forgotten where I was going. God.
Aliens,
What
aliens,
makes
We are-
people an alien?
Catholics
so
from
my-
other planets.
Okay, so my Catholics.
That
from
is
other
the bad
planets.
thing us to be doing live with drinking wine. And
Yeah.
we have 4 empty bottles of wine
Yeah,
nearly.
and 4 people.
and 4
But-
people.
But
Which
what-
is just the right dose rate, apparently.
I'm the
But
driver.
we're up. You're the driver, so apparently we've shared the other.
Daryl's on the water. He's a good boy.
But where I was going was the whole thing around where is it where we change from being human to being like if there were weird people from another planet that came here, how would we behave as a global community? Would we be together or would we be separate?
Okay, I
Or
think,
would there be...
look, I think
I've
it's,
thought about this often because
But-
I find it very hard to believe we're the only life form
but they
anywhere
think
in
of-
the
it's
Depends if they're
universe.
friendlies or not.
no, but I think,
Can they be friendly people from other
uh,
planets?
Well, let's just say
Then I'll give him a
let's
hug.
just say, yeah.
Just give him a hug.
No,
Just
no,
come
but
here, give us a
my
hug.
thing is, how would we behave? Like,
but
as a
I think it's
community?
about
Would we embrace
exposure.
them?
Exposure. It's about personality, education and exposure. When I live in Brazil, we have a nana, and my nana was black. And I remember that she was black because I was fascinated because And this is a stupid thing, but I was fascinated because black people have white palms.
That's
they
right.
can't,
Yeah.
But she had the black. And I remember as a kid was like, this woman was the more amazing woman because she had my hands, but then she was black. And I adored this woman. She was the sweetest woman in the world. And then when I got to Argentina, my father was very racist. He admits he's very racist. And especially with Jewish people.
Jewish.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when I was going to a sport club, all my friends on my sport club was Jewish. Who I didn't tell my father because my father would not agree.
Yeah.
And I never, these girls were the coolest girls. But I have enough open mind to, I think they were the coolest men that were my friends. And I was very quiet. Was the time I was quiet. But I was very quiet.
I don't think anyone in Stanthorpe
Were
would
you
believe
like
that, but
2 or
anyway.
3 just before you could talk?
No, I
too
was
much?
like 17. Until 17 I would do that. And
Really
10
self-conscious?
minutes,
Were you
no,
like
I'm very dyslexic. I am very dyslexic. And if I talk too long, my jaw hurts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, amazingly.
Not today?
Not
Hurts?
today.
Don't
No.
say, what a load of bullshit.
Fix that with wine.
I didn't find I was dyslexic. That was a stupid. Anyway, it's a long time. But
Sorry, pal.
For anyone out there who's dyslexic, drink more wine and you'll solve the problem.
Join our discussion.
But I was the only person who was looking at them as people. Means I was thinking, I was feeling guilty because my father was racist. When all my other girls in the club were all Catholics. And they all were indoctrinated by I was thinking like my father was the one out. But then now I realized
You were the
that
odd one out.
I was the only one out, and all the other girls were listening to where the parents there, and they were not friends of these girls. You know, and means basically, but I have exposure because we have traveled, we have released in Brazil, we have lived here and there, and I've been open-minded. My father was, even if he was a racist, he have lived Buddha. He was an open-minded man, even if he was racist because was something that happened when he was young and didn't like work for a Jewish person, didn't like it, and because the society allowed him to be racist. The society allowed him to
Almost
be racist,
encouraged, not allowed, but encouraged.
to be chauvinist. You know, my father was so chauvinist when I was a young girl to my mom. My mom could not wear makeup. My father who raised like I work, like I used to drive like
Taxi.
big, no, I used to
No, that's
drive,
not what she's talking about. Like,
I used to drive
something up and
big,
down.
big,
Airplane.
like
Forklift?
pulling, no, like things we pull out to the floor, up to 6 floors.
Excavator.
Oh, cherry picker.
No, I used to
Crane.
cranes. I used
Crane.
to drive
Crane.
cranes
It's
for
a
him.
crane. It's a big.
My
Yeah.
English is terrible. And I
Oh,
had been
it's
thinking,
like 20 questions.
and he was so like, I was the boss and I was driving these guys. But when I was a kid, my mom could not wear makeup because she would look like a prostitute. That chauvinist he was, but it wasn't like he was that chauvinist. He was allowed to be that chauvinist. Like today, you would not be allowed to be that
But
chauvinist.
you know, there's still that there. My ex-husband didn't like tattoos, right? I'm a bit funny with needles. I still want a tattoo, right? Like at some point, I'm going to get a tattoo.
I don't know. I still don't have one, eh?
I don't have one.
I've
You
had
don't
this
have
thought. I've
You
had
don't
this
have
thought
No,
recently.
my daughter,
I don't have
my
it.
younger
You know what?
daughter has told me that
I
she
don't
wants to
have
have a
it.
tattoo with me. So
I actually
she's even
think
got
I'm
a
not.
really cool picture, and I know where I want it.
So if none of the 4 of us got one,
No.
No.
No, I don't.
wow.
No.
But I
That's
am
pretty
afraid
amazing.
of needles. So
We have a
It
collective
hurts.
collective age of about 130,
No.
130.
oh, come on. It's probably more.
It's probably more.
To be honest, it's probably more.
150,
Right,
150 something years between us, and we don't have a tat.
I don't have anything
I have-
against tattoos. I love art, but I would not like to see the same
Yeah.
artwork on me for.
I kind of like the
But see,
idea.
I'm at an
Like you
age
can
where I
change
can't
your
kind-
shirt, you know,
Yeah.
like if you not wear a nice
But I'm
shirt
kind
and
of
then
going,
change your
there's a
shirt.
couple of little tattoos I would like.
You could tattoo yourself for
I can-
make on yourself.
I'll just put a cow on me or something. Tammy, I'll tap Tammy on me. She's the only girl that'll never fail me no matter what. I reckon. Never, ever, ever.
Oh, Greg, you're funny.
Or there might be another one
Because-
coming
but
in
you-
my future.
You cannot say
Or my
that because
current
we know in New Zealand,
present.
but people can take it in the New Zealand way.
Sorry.
Sorry, what?
We are now in New Zealand, but people
So
can
we're
take it in
heading
New
towards
Zealand.
online dating now in rural areas.
How many
We've been
people are
discussing
watching us?
this.
Well, I've got
Conversation.
four. I've got four on mine, and it's been going 4 to 7. People have been dropping in and out.
That's okay, means we can talk
1%.
about online dating.
Up and down.
We're not going to offend anyone.
Online dating. If we're going to talk online
I
dating,
think
we
Susan,
should
you're
just say,
watching at the moment.
if you
you're
haven't
cool,
tried
right?
online dating yet, don't. Seriously,
Oh,
don't.
come on, give me a break.
I don't
No.
know.
Okay,
Yeah.
try online dating if you want. See if I care.
But actually be engaged and have conversation. If you're a bloke, have conversation. Because
Cool.
women, well, I've heard that.
My
some
my
women-
experience as a bloke, like I sort of tried a little bit over the last couple of years, and I never met a real person online.
I did.
Actually, that's a lie. One
I've
girl,
met a few.
one girl who was real lives in America.
Right.
And,
Not Russia.
no, America. No,
But the
no.
word I have-
There was lots of Ukrainians and Russians and but this one girl in America, Rachel, she might even be watching now. Just she's we're still friends, and she actually sent me a video message after we started chatting to confirm that
She was a real one.
she was real, because she said to me, "I'm so sick of all these fake people online," and she said, "I'm sure you don't believe I'm real either." And so then we became good friends, and this was a year ago, and it was really cool. We still chat today, and she's in which state?
One of the 52.
Virginia. Rachel, are you on North Carolina? North Carolina, maybe. Anyway,
For someone that doesn't drink wine, you're doing okay.
it's
Brett.
well, it's good wine.
It's great one.
Beautiful wine.
Some people can make wine, can't they?
Well, Carla said don't
Thank you.
buy any more wine. So I
But
didn't, so-
but for me, like my online
I think
experience, my online
Right.
experience was just a whole lot of fake people. They just were not real people.
Whereas I've had a bit the opposite. So I've had some really good experiences.
Cool.
My ex-boyfriend, who is still amazing and a beautiful friend, is we met online on the online dating app that my ex-husband suggested I should join after he met his partner on there.
He was like, just I want to make sure you never try and come back to me. Go
Yeah,
and find
there was
someone
no
else.
chance of that. So no chance of that. So I met a beautiful person online, absolutely beautiful, and I've met some other real people online that I'm still friends with. So
Well, there you go. Well, that's good. I mean, each to their
I
own.
think.
how about you, Paula?
Mm.
So the other.
Some people. But I have been trying to be. Oh, that was so annoying. I have been trying to be like American guys. The moment someone say American, no, because two guys. One guy was like, ooh, and second guy that was just tried to extortion or something like that. How you call it? And anyway, it was fake.
Fake account.
Yeah, and then have one guy that we dated, and then we become very good friends. And then I meet some interesting people.
I've met some interesting. I'm actually friends with
like-
some interesting
And I'm friends
people.
with some interesting people.
Yeah.
But realistically, the people have been the more interesting people they all. And I don't know many people, but the majority of the interesting people of all have been presented by someone else.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Like
Not
a
online.
friend, my first, after I divorced, I was a very bad place.
Most of us are.
Means my first date was a blind date, and that lasts like 5 months.
Online was a blind date.
No, a friend,
Oh, right.
Connected.
but actually probably the only boyfriend the longer boyfriend I had was online.
Mm-hmm.
We meet online,
Hmm.
and then.
But a lot of the young ones apparently just that's what they do today. Online.
So what
Don't
do you
go
call
out.
young?
Don't go out.
What do
and
you
do
call
it.
young?
But you see,
20s?
26,
Yeah.
20 to 26.
Yeah.
right?
Can I say there's
Friday,
another,
Saturday night, very active on Tinder
There-
and just.
there's
hooking
another
up.
group of young men who are actually after women in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Which is
wouldn't
really
know.
interesting.
I mean, I did vote yes, but no problem with boys. I like boys who like boys, as long as it's not me
Are you listening, Derek?
that they like. Is he in his 20s? Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Oh.
No,
No,
it's not. No.
it's a conversation about liking boys.
Oh.
There was a misunderstanding
Well,
about something
I'm a
he
very
said,
inclusive person, and
I
you
won't
know,
mention it on
I
the-
voted yes.
Yeah.
To,
Oh, of course.
but
How
I
could
have.
you not?
Well, I have
Sorry,
family and
anybody
friends.
that voted the other way.
No,
but
I
how
have
could you
family and
not?
friends that voted no, and I respect that.
Me too. But
Yeah, but I think okay, we can go. This
it's
is
like the Republic
this is a
question.
good thing about the people who.
I was really annoyed that the government even had that.
That was a
plebiscite.
plebiscite.
That
should have had a
should-
plebiscite.
they knew the
Was it-
result.
was it
They
a
knew the
plebiscite?
result.
Was
They
it a
wasted all of our
It
money.
was a plebiscite.
It was a
Face to
plebisite.
face.
It was called a
No, it was,
plebiscite.
it was,
Yeah.
and they wasted how many millions of dollars
$75 million. or
But
something.
that is
on a result they
Yeah.
already knew.
They knew it was going to happen,
Yeah.
and Toowoomba
Okay,
should have
okay,
just,
so-
Toowoomba should have just
so-
approved it.
So can I say something?
Yes.
I really like John McVeigh.
This is your
right?
house.
He's awesome.
John McVeigh's a
Love
nice
John.
bloke.
Dr. John
But
McVeigh.
he personally would have voted no. His electorate voted no, and yet he voted yes.
He
And,
did.
and
Okay.
can I say that
Mhm.
is wrong? I love you, John, but that's wrong.
What's wrong?
The fact that his
Him
electorate,
disagreeing with his electorate.
his values were a no vote. His electorate.
But
was
isn't he
no
a
vote.
citizen of Australia?
I'm sorry.
He is, but he's a
Okay.
member of parliament and he's meant to represent his
Yeah,
people
no.
and his own values. And he went against that. And can I say
Yeah.
that's what's wrong with our government?
No, I had to say something about this
Yeah.
principle.
Just
My
in case you're
principle.
watching,
And
John.
I'm a yes
Joseph
Joseph
voter.
thinks
Yeah.
you're wrong.
I think you're
I
wrong
like
to
your
vote
work.
yes.
I
You
reckon
should have
good on
voted
you.
No,
You
but
should have
No,
voted
and
and
how
I,
you
I
wanted
would
to vote.
disagree with you on that, but I
No,
would voted.
But I
yes,
have a
would voted
principle. It's like abortion, okay?
No. Yeah.
You see, as a personal, my personal thing, I have never abortion, and if I have a friend that is in a situation that is thinking about it,
Mhm.
I will be the person to talk about that you should keep the baby, okay?
Mhm.
I am pro-choice because my belief is
Me
not
too.
you. It's like religion.
But you still
And-
wouldn't
and-
condemn them
and
if they
gay-
make a
no,
choice.
So
No,
gay
no,
marriage is
that's
the same. I'm not. Means my belief. I'm not going to marry a woman. Not because I have anything
You
against.
don't want to marry me? I'll marry you.
And I heard of women that will marry me,
Just having a little thing here.
and even lesbian women will marry me. But I'm not. It's not because I.
Lucky you're not drinking tonight, Darren. We could have a threesome going on here before we finish.
No, I'm not gay
I'm
at
just going to
all.
go over here in the corner.
So,
She
But-
has kissed him.
Okay.
And she liked it.
No,
No.
no.
I was just the song. I was just
Oh, that'd be
paraphrasing.
some
Katy
water.
Perry.
But the point is that it's my means I don't want to have sex with a woman. Alright? Means I don't have any problems that the woman marry or not. It's not my life what the other women do. And that is the problem with
Yeah.
gay marriage. Like you think that he's against his because he doesn't believe and he's but it's not his job to tell a gay person what they can do or
no,
not.
but
And that is the
but
problem with
can
gay
I,
marriage.
sorry, can I say,
Yeah.
when you're elected to Parliament and you make it very clear what you believe,
Yeah.
and then your electorate makes it very clear what they
They
want.
believe.
But doesn't matter because
It does, because...
no, because it's what you believe, and you cannot impose
The
what
electorate
you
might be
believe.
wrong.
Oh,
No,
look,
no, no.
can
It's
I
not
say...
that it's not allowed to be wrong.
Yes, they were.
No, but
you know,
but if you say
51,
no,
49,
I changed.
was.
I changed.
Can I
changed-
say, my app on my phone still shows me what's happening with the Cowboys tonight with their game, but I just missed the last one. The last one.
But
Who are they
I,
playing?
Apparently I'm
Okay.
far North
Who are
Queensland.
they
All right.
I have no idea.
I changed.
Go the Cowboys.
I changed
Sorry.
the object.
Pretty sure.
I changed the object, and you electro say, and you agree with,
Somebody message us the
Or-
update score, and I'll be able to tell Josie what it
or you electro is
Yeah, anyone know the
Like-
score of the footy? Can you just
black
message
people
me?
should not have a voice, or anything that you think that is quite outrageous. No, because
No.
you.
No,
Like I said, because
Sorry, what I'm saying is that if a member is elected to Parliament, they have very strong values, they're elected on their values, and I admire people who do that, because even if I disagree with them, you have very strong
Thanks,
values.
Craig. Sorry, one of my mates here just said religion, politics, and wine. What could go wrong? Not much,
We love
apparently.
each other. It's all good. But the thing is that.
But the
Mike,
good thing
sorry,
about
but no,
democracy
no.
that if they don't like what he did, they can kick him out.
No, they
next
can't for
election.
years. They can't for years, and it never happened in a Conservative seat like that. But
Safe
my
seat.
thing is that he was in a safe place to still vote with his values and vote with his community. And
But
This
this
is what's wrong. No, this is what's wrong.
Yeah, but
we
I
actually keep trying to appease people rather than going, I've got fucking balls. I can actually. Sorry.
You don't.
Yeah, but
We
but,
do, don't we?
But you see,
But-
but I don't believe
Josie,
so.
you don't.
I would not, but I would not believe so because even if I,
Well, I
because
think
you know what I
that's
mean,
what's wrong.
because
So even
because it's wrong. I think because the principle of that, I want to tell someone how to think because all the people are doesn't want gay marriage. This doesn't like because it's not like they don't want gay.
So you have a member of parliament. He
Yeah.
doesn't like gay marriage. His community, 51%, I think it
It
was.
was 51-49, yeah. That's
51.5% do not want gay marriage. So I don't want it, my community don't want it, but hell, I'll change my values,
But
I'll change my
51%
community.
isn't even a majority.
No,
But he didn't even know that
It's
at
not
the
a
time.
decisive
So
but
majority.
for
we need
me-
members of parliament who actually stick to their guns
Like a
and
lot
they
of-
actually stick
Yeah,
to what they
I don't
say
know,
they're going to do.
but
And I didn't
yes.
agree with him. I do not agree with the fact that we should in any way stop gay
I know,
marriage.
but I think, but I don't think you
But
could.
they should have voted the way they
Yeah,
said
but
they were
it's-
going to vote.
no, because
Tony
Josie,
Abbott.
you should run for politics. You feel very strongly
She's gotta
about
go.
I
something.
do.
Oh,
I
she's
do
going to
feel
run
very
the-
passionately.
Even if we agree with this, I want to
We've
have
We've got a bite.
She took 10%.
But
and she
I
did-
think.
No, but it's about values.
You know, but
we've
the-
lost
no,
our values and our
No,
statesmanship
you
in
see,
politics.
that is what you miss. I think you're mistaken because the value is I cannot tell him how to live your life, regardless of what I think. You can be very religious and think if he was gay. I'm sorry, he's not
No,
gay.
you're not gay.
He's
Greg.
not gay at all. Okay?
Totally.
He's good.
Totally.
I like girls more than any bloke I know.
More than the cows. Okay.
Seriously.
More than the cows.
More than the cows.
Except maybe Daryl. He likes girls a lot too.
But the point is that if
Yeah.
that is the principle. I think
It
you understand what I
is.
mean. The principle
And
is that
that's
if he
exactly-
wants to marry another guy, means even if I think that he's going to hell.
But if you're a member of parliament and you're in a position to vote one way or the other, and your personal opinion, which you have said to the public, is that you believe that they should not be able to marry. And look, don't get me wrong, I am so the other spectrum on this issue, but you should vote the way that you believe because that is why people have put you in that position.
If you have advertised that you were going to vote, if you have
Yes,
said,
he has.
well,
and
that
that is what I'm saying.
I think we all agree here. We're just getting a bit stirred up
But
about
I
the fact
think
we
you
all
should
agree.
know. I think that you, but
it's
even
just, you know,
regardless-
Got a lot of
was it
passionate
Craig?
people, eh?
Craig, was it Craig? Craig?
Craig.
You're probably right, but it's enjoyable for us.
He's laughing. He loves it.
Now, what about those Cowboys?
Well, I'm
So
still
who
waiting for
is
an
winning with
update.
the Cowboys?
Nobody's given me an update
I
still.
have their app, but I can't reach my phone because it's against the bottle of milk that's holding
Yeah,
up
leave-
the camera for the. You
Leave
know.
it in place.
So if anybody has an update score on the Cowboys,
That'd be great, yeah.
apparently I'm a new Cowboys fan. I'd be really pleased to know.
And it's
I don't watch football.
interesting. You know, we were just talking about the whole gay thing.
I only watch it because I work in a sports club. So.
I know.
I think for like it's like whatever it is for whoever you are, isn't it? Like it's
Yeah.
you can't control who you are. And like I was just joking before that I like girls more than any bloke I know. Well, I
That's-
can't imagine that any bloke would like girls more than I do, but maybe they do. But it is possible, but just unlikely.
I know a few men
Unlikely.
that might challenge you on that.
But they, you know, that's just because they think they like girls a lot too. Oh, lots of blokes like girls a lot. But you
and
know,
lots of girls like
recent,
guys a
like
lot.
10 years ago, one of my best mates came out of the closet and said he was gay, and he was 27.
We have a score. Sorry,
The score just came in.
We got a score.
Sharks 4,
Hi, Lisa McDonald.
Cowboys,
Cowboys
8.
8.
Go the Cowboys!
So the
And-
Cowboys
Sorry.
won.
Just a
But
little
you know, one of my
intermission.
best mates came out of the closet when he was 27, and I didn't know. Like we were best mates, and
Yep.
at the time he had a big crush on Kylie Minogue because I suppose gay blokes like her too because she's awesome.
Well, she's in the gay Mardi Gras.
Yeah, and
Gay men like good music.
yeah, and we used to go out. You know, we used to show cows and go out,
And
and
women?
he was the nicest bloke. And
Yep.
when he stopped talking to me at the time, like we were close mates, and I never heard back for a while. Never heard. I'm like, how rude, you know? He's just disappeared on me. And then I found out that he was gay. I didn't know, and he had been disowned by his family at 27, and it's kind of like,
That's so
man,
terrible.
that is hard to comprehend. And I think it's all been reconciled since then. But you know, it was a religious family, and
In Spain, in the
I keep saying, sorry,
Yeah,
Paola,
yeah.
I'll just finish, but I have 2 kids, and I think my kids are about as straight as I am. I do.
Yeah.
But what if?
who cares?
What if
Who
you
cares?
have kids?
So,
But what if you have
so
kids?
in our family, we've been very open about it because I don't know either, right? My kids
Sure.
my son has 4 sisters, you know. Actually, he has 6 sisters and a brother now. So, and blended families too, right? So,
Yeah.
I actually think that it's just a case of who cares.
It should be.
But
so
it's-
people talk about gay radar.
And that's
I don't
why I
know
think
gay radar. I don't know if anyone's
Love is love.
gay.
Love is
It's
love.
just like
Seriously.
you just
But
like
it's
this.
still
Good
very,
people are good
but it's
people.
still very sad. I was in the Mardi Gras in Spain this few months ago.
Mm.
Was very beautiful story, but was a very sad story because it was these older people, like 60, 2 couples on the 60. They put on the T-shirt, "Mom's hugs" and the men, "Dad hugs." And you cannot imagine how many people free hugs, free mom hugs, and free. And so many gay people stop and give them a hug and say, "My mom has hugged me since I come out." You know, like
Yeah.
these young people or
And they're still
maybe
the same person
yeah,
that
and
they
it's
always
like
were.
6 years since a mom hugged them
Yeah.
or a
It's
dad
horrible.
hugged them. You know, and
Yeah.
that is terrible. And the people who think it's not important because it's not affecting me, it's like, oh, people with this bigotry, you know, like, oh,
Yeah, no.
Mm.
So we're
if you get offended because you're gay, oh, you should have a thick skin, and it's like, well, no, because our kids. The worst thing
So
about
can
gay
we-
marriage, it was
Yeah.
the important thing for me about gay marriage is you were telling kids that was okay to be gay, because you can marry someone you love.
I have gay friends who've had kids, you know,
Mm.
so female gay friends who've had kids. And can I say, I get parenting advice from them. They are brilliant.
No, the
they
best-
are the most amazing
The
people.
best
They're my
relationship I
closest
know,
friends.
my family have a lot of boys and 2 girls.
We have lots of girls and almost no boys. So the poor boys.
My
yeah.
family was all
Different
boys
effects.
and only 2 girls. And the 2 girls, we have our grandmother who was, we didn't have a grandpa, we have a grandmother who was the matriarchal and, but wasn't a strong woman, was very quiet, but behind the scenes. The more achieved people of my family are my cousin and I.
Mm.
And she is lesbian. She married his wife. She have a wife. She
Okay.
had in Argentina,
Right.
out of all the chauvinist countries in the world. They have a football club training. They have a club. They train girls. They have a soccer girls team, and she's the only girl who actually referee men's. She's a referee, and she referees men's.
But you know, my
game.
thing is that
And
does,
it's like-
does it actually ever matter? Like, really? I mean, who gives a shit? Like, if somebody's gay or not? Like,
I know, but the people.
does it really matter?
The,
Does it matter? Like, on what level
It
does
shouldn't.
it matter?
They shouldn't, but you know what it does matter? Is to say, it's enough for him to say, and I had to say that to men, but it's to say, and and that is true, very true.
Oh, yeah, so you straighten up then, Dan.
Yes,
I'm listening.
to men.
Well done.
But the problem of homophobic men, and more than, because women we are not care.
Mostly.
Don't care.
Mostly.
Most
Some
of-
women are extremely judgmental, but
But mostly
often they don't care.
women we more open. Men are the ones who are more. Homophobic men always is because it's the men that they will be the sexual harassment. They will do the sexual harassment themselves.
The what's that?
Sexual harassment. You know, like
Harassment.
they will be, oh, you know, even if you don't want to, they will be looking at your boobs, doing this.
So gay men don't do that.
No. Straight men who do that are the homophobic ones because they worry that gay men will treat them as they treat women. Does that make you can understand that?
Not really.
No.
Sorry, I had too much wine
Little bit.
apparently.
No, my English.
I lost that train
Okay.
of thought.
Sexual harassment? You know, like
Sexual
It's not really
harassment.
working.
Oh,
Yeah.
they think they'll be harassed by gay
no,
men.
but there are men that they do sexual harassment themselves.
Oh, the men who do sex.
So they're more disrespectful.
They're more respectful of women. Means they feel like gay men will be like them to them. In the moment it's a gay,
yes, I
man
get
is
what
in
you're
the room
saying.
with the gay man, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Because they feel that tension that they're going to be treated
They're
like
gonna,
they
they're
treat
gonna try
women.
and grope me or jump
Because
me. Or...
it's how they treat women. And you cannot imagine how many men treat women poorly.
No, there's lots, right? And
It's
this is the
kinda
thing,
sad.
like we always talk
Yeah.
about.
And that is the thing that
Yeah.
society is not realizing, that the homophobic is not about the homophobic, it's about actually how poorly men, a lot of
It's
men
more about respect across
Exactly.
the board.
across the board.
Across the board. Yeah.
You know, and it's a lack of respect across
No,
the
like
board.
that.
And,
And
but
then translated
can you
to
click close?
bye bye.
No, it's
It's
just.
just said it's
Close
run
it.
out.
There's
Okay.
probably still a fair bit. I don't know. 1% I had a long conversation the other night.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's all holding well, so it's still good.
But
Still good.
so the trick really is then around, I guess around. Well, we could talk about women, right?
Yeah, but
How long have we been talking for? Probably far too long.
An hour and a half. Just
So an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. 7:30 we started. A bit later. 7:30.
No, but
Guys,
Still
anybody
holding an
that
audience
has
here.
stuck
we
with
made
us
the
is
radio
doing well.
people. We
I
So
just wanna read-
I found out
Have you
from
got a
Craig Como that it's only half time. Don't get too excited yet about
What's
the
only half time?
Cowboys. Now that I'm a Cowboys
all right.
fan,
Right.
they have
They're
not
still in front.
necessarily won, but they are in front 8-4 against the Sharks. Now the sad thing is, Craig, is that I'm from the Shire down in Sutherland.
You're a Cowboys girl now.
I'm about to become a Cowboys girl. I'm not quite there yet. I used to.
If the
support
Cowboys
the
win
Sharks.
tonight,
I can win either way.
I think you need to make a commitment. If the Cowboys win tonight, you're fully converted. Fully fledged.
I'm fully converted.
You're a
love
cowgirl.
to work with the Cowboys.
Go the
They're a great
Cowgirls.
team. They may not be doing so well on the ladder at the moment, but they have gone great lengths to
Yeah.
do what they've achieved.
And they always
this
try to do
year.
the right thing in the season.
They do.
Stay off the
But
alcohol.
can I
and
also
that's
say I'm a soccer supporter
Unlike
and
us.
I watch the EPL rather than local football. So
fair enough.
sorry, but I have the Cowboys app on my phone and I keep getting little notifications. So
I'm just going to read a little comment. Marika Welker's put a comment here. There is something about a red wine that brings the truth to the connection and community is very
sorry,
important to us
Just
all.
Marika.
You're right.
So I like what she's written there. Connection and community is what's very important to us all, and I'd have to agree with that. That's probably one of the
So,
things
Daryl,
I'm leading in Toowoomba.
You know
community
more
connection.
than me even how important community is.
Oh,
and so
community.
I don't know if anybody else saw my post about around, and I've been talking about this for years, right? There was an experiment done in the 70s around rats
Right, yep.
and addiction. And they had one rat in a cage with some opioids in water and then some plain water, and the rat died.
That rat
from
is.
a-
Oh, I was going to say it's 50 years old now, but it died.
It died. So the rat died of an opioid addiction, essentially, and overdosed. Then somebody a few years later, oh, actually maybe it was in the 50s they did that, and then in the 70s they did the next one. And what they actually did was they said, well, is that a real test? Because that rat had water and nothing else. And then they gave these other rats, they gave them sex, they gave them toys, they gave them food.
Sex toys or toys and sex?
Everything you can imagine, from what I understand.
Broad experience.
In the
I
rat
wasn't
bowl.
there, but
Okay.
you know, apparently from what I understand, the rats were pretty happy.
Just curious.
Yeah, lots of rats, lots of happiness, lots of sex, lots of everything. And they actually still had the water and the water with the opioids. And what they found out was that when there was community, when rats, not just having sex, but actually having community as well, but when they had food, sex, toys, everything, they actually really went to the opioid water. And it was really interesting. And that has always been my philosophy, and interestingly my mother's many years ago too. So when you connect people and when you get people engaged and when you start getting people to connect and talk to each other, and that's the hardest thing, right? Like you see somebody sitting there and you don't say hello. But when you say hello and you start a conversation, it's a really interesting thing, and you can find out things you never knew. And so
It is a bit of a lost art. Just reaching
it's
out.
a huge lost
and
art.
talking.
And so one of the things I'm so grateful for is my mother was the most amazing woman ever, and she was a heavy smoker, and she would go and sit with anyone and chat and ask them for their lighter. But she also would chat with anyone, anywhere. And so as a child, I grew up with everybody from the mayor to French backpackers who smoked dope on our back veranda, and
Mhm.
my mother didn't know it was dope, and you know, she thought they were just friendly French backpackers.
Well, they were.
They were friendly.
But you know,
I'm
so
happy.
and she would bring theatre groups to Griffith and all sorts of things, because she ran one of the first vacation care centres in New South Wales. And look, this is a bit teary for me because I miss my mum, and she, in a few weeks is her anniversary from dying. But and she was a remarkable woman. But you know, my thing is that as a community, we forget to connect. And there are some people, so I don't know so much about Stanthorpe, but I know in Toowoomba we have people like Jen Shaw doing remarkable things.
Oh, amazing.
Right?
With
so,
Emerge
yeah,
campaign.
and so, and this is the thing, like, real people do not focus on anything other than the outcome they want, and all Jen has ever wanted is to actually have people connect, and these people who are at risk, not to feel like they don't have a home, or people who care about them. And when you hear about that, there's actually a really interesting TED Talk that I've shared on my page. If anybody's watching, somewhere on my page you'll find it. There's a TED Talk, I can't remember the guy's name, but as I said, I've been talking about it for years, around these rat tests, where they used to think addiction was all about just the opioids, and it's not. It's actually about connection.
Yep.
And God, guys, get out there and talk to each other, because it makes a huge difference.
So just
And I know,
explain
because
that
I've
a
been
bit,
living
Josie, with the connection. Was it about the connection going to the opioids or after the opioids? Like,
No,
Well,
nothing to do with the opioids. It's about actually
Connecting
talking to people, having fun with people, engaging with people. All of that stuff is so critical, and that's what I want. Farmers markets, I've said it time and time again. Farmers markets, I don't give a shit. It's not about even the food and the connection around food and trying to get people to connect.
it's a social
That's a byproduct.
event.
It's a social event where people can talk to each other and get to know each other every single fucking week when they buy their groceries.
Wow.
Sorry for swearing, but it really
She's not
annoys
sorry.
me.
That's actually sorry.
She's not sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
It's about people connecting and actually finding each other and building relationships. And do you know what? You can build it with people who you think you would never have anything in common with.
But that is what, when I opened a restaurant. I run a restaurant to Saturday, Sundays. I do restaurant at the winery. Paola's the winemaker kitchen. Basically, it was like I was deeply depressed, diagnosed depressed. I denied myself to take any antidepressants.
When you started the restaurant,
before I started the restaurant,
you were depressed.
And I work on my own. I'm a winemaker who don't need anybody to help me.
Yeah.
I need someone to help me.
And what year did you move to Stanthorpe? What,
20 years ago.
20 years? So you've been here for 20 years.
Yes,
Long
but I've
time.
been divorced
Yeah.
for 5, and in this 5, I was single mother with a daughter, working in a winery on my own. I could spend, I calculate, I was 3 weeks without seeing in person, other than my daughter.
3 weeks.
But you posted something on Facebook.
Oh, that was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw it, and I went,
Because
I'm having a shit day. I'm going to actually
Because
finally meet Paolo,
that is
where
the
I'm
funny
going to
thing
go
that
have a
happened.
coffee.
In all these years, I make people, very open-minded people become my friend. And as they become my friend, they leave.
It
It's
stands
a bad
up
thing
to
to
great
become my
places
friend.
festivals, don't get me wrong. But I love tennis.
I told Josie to meet Paolo about a
long
year
time
ago.
You
Yeah,
see, you
it was.
fought. Because I didn't
It's
know.
my
And I've only just
Sorry.
met recently.
And anyway, and I decided that, okay, I need to do something that I am with people. And that is what I opened the restaurant. You see, and I find this because I'm dyslexic. I always want to be a politician or be a psychologist. But my writing and my speaking, I can see, it's very bad. And that is very bad. Anyway, and that stopped me to do like humanistic things, and I did science because I was good in science, but not because my thing was more to be a people. I'm more a people person than
Yes.
lab. Right?
Direct communication, being able to talk.
Yes, and that is why I started a restaurant. And then after I started the restaurant, last year I started working in a pub because I was single alone in Stanthorpe. Nothing is going to happen. I work in a pub, and I work Sunday in the pub. 3 Sundays I work in the pub, and it's nobody in the pub in Sundays.
Right.
But every Sunday I have a man a different man every Sunday. You know, but some
What
men
does
that
that sound
have
like to you?
some sad stories, you know.
How are you feeling, Darren?
And because there's no one else in the pub, they have told me awful, the story. And I feel so like, oh, I'm the pub consultant, you know, like, you barman. I was the barman that they will hear, you know, and I was talking to them. That feels so good, you know. That feels so good. And I say, I really need to do more.
So there's a real thing, around, so I've worked around this space for a long time. So I used to work in primary healthcare and all sorts of areas, and my background's marketing. Anybody in Townsville, I'm starting a new marketing agency in Townsville, so like Madhouse Marketing. It's a full service marketing agency. Did you like the page?
I saw the Facebook page.
Did
I
you like
it?
it?
Yeah, I did.
Can't remember,
Saw it
so-
straight away. Yeah. So.
But my thing around that is that it's around rural communities and rural and regional communities and that whole work-life balance, right? And that idea of attracting people.
But we can talk about one thing we have talked. How single women are treated in
Not
Stanthorpe.
sure.
I don't know if we
We've talked
should.
for an hour and a half. Anybody want to hear about single women in Stanthorpe?
I've still got some viewers here. I'm sure they'd be keen to hear. Let's
Sorry.
just roll with it. Because
I'll talk about something that's
Daryl and I
more
can't talk
political,
much
but-
about how single women get treated in Stanthorpe.
No, I think we're talking about the idea of single people in rural regions. So
Okay.
it's not
How
just us.
insulated.
Not just Stanthorpe.
It's not just Stanthorpe.
How
It's not just
insulated you
women.
are.
It's men and women.
You not get invited as much as you were if you have a partner. You get the, I don't know if you as men get the same feeling, but yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea what different people go through. Like I sort of know my own experience, and
You don't ever sort of stop to think or talk to other people about what they go through.
I'm just checking this guy.
no.
Go
I'm
for
just
it.
trying to think. I'm trying to process that thought, Josie. Like, I don't know. I think I've just really struggled a lot for myself in the last 3 years. My 21-year marriage ended 3 years ago.
But I think a lot of our struggle is that we not get that community opening.
But I was very consciously, so just to explain a little bit, and it's actually next week is 3 years since I've been not married, and I very actively tried to rebuild myself. And I think a lot of people, no disrespect to anyone who goes through it, I mean, you know, most of us go through it these days. Actually, more than half of us go through it. But I just had a strong feeling I'm going to meet someone and get remarried. I always felt that, right or wrong. I don't care if it's right or wrong. That's just what I felt.
And it's what you want too.
But I also was very conscious of not taking my baggage into the next relationship. So I worked
But how
very
do you
hard.
do that? Like, can I say, how do you do that? Like, seriously,
Well-
Greg, you are as open as I am, and how do you not externalise all the stuff you're going through? So some people try and do it. I don't think it's very successful when people try and do it. but
Try and do what?
try and move on without trying to hide their baggage.
No, I'm saying I was very conscious of not taking my baggage into the next.
I get that.
Drop it.
But by that, I'm saying when you try and hide your baggage.
No,
because your
I haven't
baggage
tried
is-
to hide anything.
You
I-
didn't hide your baggage.
I
I
didn't-
watched
no,
you for years.
I didn't hide
so You
No,
didn't hide it.
I worked actively on
Yeah, you did.
rebuilding myself
Yeah,
and
which is different to.
acknowledging my failures, my flaws, because I'm human,
Well, we're
and
do you know
I
what, we're
contributed.
complex beings, right? So my thing
Yeah.
is too people. And can I say, sorry guys, you often try and simplify yourselves. And
No, I don't. I'm pretty complex.
Yeah, but you were just trying to simplify it then too. And I know a lot of men.
She's right.
A couple of guys who I know very closely, who I adore, who try and simplify their lives, and they are complex people,
Yeah.
you know. But do you know what? For women, that's kind of attractive too, because they're not single-viewed men. They are actually people who think, and they're a bit spiritual, and you know, have conversation and they're unsure and, you know. And,
It's a funny thing though,
but
Josie.
you know what? We all are. That's the thing. We all are. So anybody who thinks they are certain about anything, I actually don't really believe them, because life is an ongoing journey, and no matter what age you are, like I've been through a lot, and so people often look at me and they think a particular thing. They have no idea who I am or what I've been through.
But here's
no idea.
Here's a really funny
I
thing.
don't look anything like my history, so it's like
when you go through whatever you go through, and then you're moving forward, and it's like literally like a roller coaster, hey? Like up and down, up and down. And
Can I show you the
you
text
think
I
you're
sent
getting
to my
on top of
family
things.
today?
You've been
About
telling us
the
about this bloody
rollercoaster.
text. We haven't seen
Yeah,
it yet.
I'll show you after the
And like
things,
when I got
cameras
here,
are off.
Darryl and I were just chatting tonight because we hadn't met before, and he was really struggling early this year. And you know, you sort of I feel like you're on top of your game right now. You know,
Can
you're
I
sort
say?
of, you're back.
Can I take some credit
You're
for
back.
that? I have never matched two. Can I say this? I've never matched two people in my life. I matched these two beautiful people. And so for me, that is the first time I've ever tried to match anyone.
But Cowboys 14-4.
Thank
Just
you,
had a
Craig.
live update. Thanks, Craig.
So not only am I good at matchmaking, I'm good at picking games.
But here's a really funny thing for me, where there's a logical part of, like, I think I'm often really logical. You know, I process things and
Me too.
I think logically.
That's why we like each other, right?
We do. But when you're in the market and you know
You
people
mean
who know
the
people,
relationship market.
yeah, and you're looking, right? You're looking and you meet people who you think this should make sense. I should like them. Now I'm going to try and.
You haven't been a woman, right? Like far out. Like women get a different end of the deal to that. Like it is so different.
But don't you think that?
Oh,
About
God.
blokes, if you like a bloke and you think I should like him and I want to,
Yeah, and then you have a conversation and it goes a day and it's lovely. And you go maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days, and then you suddenly go, I do not want to see your dick pic.
I never sent mine to you. Are you looking at me when you're saying that? I never
Oh
sent
my
it,
God,
actually.
but guys,
I never sent it to
not
anyone.
interested.
But,
Seen enough.
like,
Don't need to see
for
it. Rather
example-
I think we don't have we haven't had the answer why some men do that. That was the question.
But
Look, it's okay in
this is
person. Like, I don't
this is
mind
family
once I've met
viewing,
someone,
family
but-
viewing. But
No,
like,
it's not. I think
as
it's
an
after 9
example,
o'clock. But anyway.
like, so we were all single at the same time, and
We
we
were,
kind of knew
actually.
each other, and we respect each other.
Just trying to charge your phone.
Me, logically, kind of thinks, we were chatting, like Paula, we were chatting quite a bit, and it was like,
Yeah, but we never have chemistry. But
no, we never did. We neither of us did.
But
And
it was great
chemistry
because
is
I
important.
needed you and you needed me at the
and
time.
we were
both.
good.
Yeah.
But, you know, at times it was like, this should make sense.
Yeah, but
And it didn't. So it's really tricky with relationships where you've actually both got to feel it.
Is it a Samsung?
No, it's an iPod.
Oh, it's bloody iPhone. No wonder why.
But
But if you have a connection, I can plug my.
Have you got your cord? I'll plug yours to the phone.
we're just trying to
I'm
save a phone
leaving
here
for
that's
a
dying.
moment. Just you stay there, Paula. Keep talking.
But it's funny
Yeah.
because at times when you're meeting different people, and a mutual friend of ours, Sonia,
yeah,
connected us.
yeah.
And Sonia might catch up with this
But
later.
it's so
at some
funny
point.
because
I'm staying with Sonia in a week.
Awesome, on your way up. But Sonia
Small
just said, I don't know, you know, if there's something here, but I think you'll be good friends. And we were actually chatted a lot,
Thank you.
and we did help each other at the time. We were both struggling, and that was
yeah. But look, I really stopped talking to you in Vintage because I was too busy because I keep giving him my updates about my sex. No. No, my
Let's
sex
walk
life.
back in.
Love life. I wasn't giving
love
him
life.
love life. Sex life. Right.
not graphic sex.
No graphic sex.
Just
but no.
love
We're not
Love
taking dick pics here.
It should be changed.
No, thank you.
No word.
But it's got to be like chemistry's a funny thing, and it's like I have met multiple amazing women, like just amazing women, and logically I think this should work and it should make sense, and I'm just not feeling it. And there's other times where I know women have sort of said to me, yes, let's do something, and I'm not feeling it. Like it's got to be two way. It's got to be two
It
way.
has to be two-way. It has to
And
be
it's
everything.
timing and it's.
Yeah.
But you know, maybe it's after a certain age it has to be two-way. So I talked about, and the thing is that just having a hot guy or having a hot girl. So I had a friend very recently suggest I watch.
Hot is subjective too.
It
It's
is.
like
It is, but I had somebody recently suggest that I watch the movie Something's Gotta Give. Jack Nicholson.
You watch it?
I haven't seen
Yeah, I
that.
watched it. I actually used
Was
to
it
have it on.
when he was younger
DVD.
or a recent?
No,
No,
a
recently.
recent one with
No.
Diane
Keaton.
Keaton.
Great movie, right?
Ooh.
And what it basically suggested was that, so there's a thing at the moment, right? So yes, I am on some online dating sites, just two, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of younger men who like women who are over 40.
Wow.
And so, yeah, interesting, right? Like I found it interesting. It's like, so it took me years, like it didn't take me years, I haven't been on there that long.
Are they growing up enough mentally, intellectually, you think?
Mostly I found no,
Yeah.
but,
Men?
yeah.
No.
But I live in hope because some of them are rather gorgeous, right? But the
And women age much more gracefully than men. Like you'll still look,
Well,
you'll still look good in 20 years' time. You know, we kind of we you know we look
yeah,
like.
I look okay now, right? So I'm
Not
okay
you,
with
Daryl.
my
You're
age
looking
now.
you're looking bloody hot tonight. I reckon. If I tell you what, if I like boys,
Oh, love it.
No, my
Don't tease
thing.
me.
he's blushing.
He's not blushing. She doesn't
Paola
care.
is.
No, she's not blushing either. Trust me. But the thing is that like there has to be chemistry, right?
Yeah.
And there has to be conversation. Well, I think there has to be.
It's a package
conversation.
thing, isn't it?
It is a package. Thing. Whatever that package is for
Want
you.
your best
so it doesn't-
friend. Like it's like the total. Want to be able to talk to them about everything, and you know have the whole other hot stuff going on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, far out.
There you
Life
go.
is tricky, right?
Yeah. But it's achievable, right? It's possible.
Look, I'm in a
Momentarily.
really strange place, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. But you know,
Well-
I think that. Do you know what Paola taught me? The one thing you can do is be true to yourself, and that is the thing. Do not lie to yourself. Do not
Yeah.
pretend. Do not pretend you can actually cope with all the crap. Be yourself. Be honest.
Authenticity's become a big thing.
Well, I've always been
It's almost
authentic,
cool.
but
But it's not about becoming or no. You have to be who you are.
you have to be who you are, and
But that's authenticity.
and sometimes
Yeah,
that's
but
hard.
it's not about to be a trend or no. I think regardless to be a trend or no. Like you remember I told before that I didn't do the confirmation because even if I was the only kid in school, not to and I was not rebel. My best friends from high school was my nuns. The nuns of the high school were my best friend. Means no one say anything to me because it was like not a rebel thing to do, but I was true to me.
Mm.
And the only thing you can do is to be true to you, not hurt people, be truthful, be nice.
But this is the thing. What's truthful? So the thing is that I even think that spaces can be a bit grey. You know, like
No, I don't think it's great because throughout the time, with your knowledge,
yeah,
True
and,
to
and
you.
how you
to
feel.
you and to what you
Yeah.
feel and to your knowledge and true to the potential, okay? Because it's like,
So that's
because what I know, high people say, oh, I told you I love you, but that was a face. That is untruthful because in
But
the
is
mo-
it untruthful if they feel that way for that time?
So
yeah,
here's-
but you know how deep it's going in.
here's
and
an
so
example
It's hard, right?
for me
No,
right now.
it's a
because I
whole
think
scale.
because
See,
I
we
think-
all want to talk now. Like, shut up, it's my turn. Right now for me, like
Sorry,
this is a really
I'll stay
interesting
quiet.
time.
You'll stay quiet.
Yeah.
These two will
and you
talk.
said too quiet.
Daryl's the only respectful one here. He's just like, I'll just let them
I'm all in
go.
there.
For me right
You
now,
don't want
so,
to go and drink.
so because I am so authentically me all the time, and
But you think that, but are you?
so you
sorry,
don't
I'm-
think so?
I'm going to quit.
I
You
mean,
know,
Josie's been stalking me and she thinks I'm a fake. She's going to expose me soon. No?
I just think that you go through life and like I'm the same.
Well,
so I've
didn't
had
you say you'd be quiet while I was talking?
probably.
Oh, that's what I just
yeah.
heard.
Okay, I'll just.
We'll check the live later.
Hmm?
So
Oh, quiet.
what
Sorry.
right now, because like I've met this amazing person and it's very early days for me, and I said to her just the other night, like, because I was concerned because I can't help but be me, like whatever that is, whatever I am, and I said I'm concerned that all I know how to do is be me. And sometimes that might be too much. I wish I could turn me down. Just turn me down, you know.
No,
But I'm sort of feeling that, but then also I'm very aware when you're starting a relationship with someone, if you don't just show them who you are, like don't pretend to be somebody else.
And don't be dishonest. This is the other thing
Yeah.
too. Allow people to choose you based on the truth.
Yeah, because you don't want them to like someone they think you are
Yeah.
if that's not you.
Like Arancha, the girl who lived with me during the week, cleaned the house very good before he came last week, and I was like, no, you know, I didn't want to offend her because she did the work, but I was like, I'm messy.
Oh,
You're messy.
come and stay in my house.
You know, but I
I
am
don't care.
messy.
If people,
Means I don't want to
I don't
pretend
care.
to be something that I'm not, because I am messy.
Yeah.
And try, you know, and she, but
Daryl,
This is one
you
of
come
the
to my house and clean my house.
no,
I
no,
don't
wasn't
care.
there. It was
Oh, Rancher.
Arancha.
Can I have a
But she-
Rancher? Can the Rancher come here? Nobody sleeps
Clean
in
because he
everybody's
was coming, and I was like, no, it was like I was a bit. I didn't want to, you know, I wanted to appreciate that she did that,
Yeah.
but as I keep saying to her, I am messy, and my big problem, I was never going to be married. I found out that at 23 I was dyslexic because I got to a counselor because I was like, I'm so messy that no one ever going to marry me or live with me or anything. Oh my God, that was so bad.
See,
When I
so
see
the
one
funny
man-
thing is, I can
yeah.
never imagine going to a counsellor saying nobody's going to be with me because I'm messy.
Oh my God,
I'm
that was so
messy,
messy.
but
When I
just
started
don't think that's the
winemaking,
only reason why they would
when
not
I
be
started
with me.
winemaking, was at college, and the girls, when I arrived late, they used to win the best clean room.
Yeah.
That stuff. When I start living, they party. I teach them how to party.
Good on you.
That's a good life skill.
That would be
And
my
they never
life
complain and
skill.
say, now we party and we're not complaining, but we used to win the cleaner room.
And you know what I think? The more you party, the less you care about mess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
exactly.
yeah,
Like,
that's
you
the
know
point.
what,
But
the more you
but
live, the less
always
you care
was a
about
thing
things.
for me, and I was like, and my ex-husband, when he met me, I was very messy, and I never clean because I was even over the top of the, you had to know who really I am. And then sometimes in our relationship, he was, you're so messy. I said, I never lied to you. You know, the real deal
Yeah,
for
but,
the
you know, I mean, my thing is too is that we live in this world where everything is meant to be perfectly OCD and
I
everybody's
don't know how it-
walls are perfect. And it's
Whose
just like,
world?
well,
Which
you
world
know,
is that?
any world. And if you rent a place, it is ridiculous, right? Because they expect you to have perfect everything. And my thing is that is not life. That's not natural. It's not living. It's not children. It's not families. It's not any of that. And most
Well, it was
of us,
easier back in caveman day because
Yeah.
nobody had anything to keep tidy.
well, do you know,
Like, there was no clothes. You know, you didn't have to organise anything. You didn't have to stack
so
food
can I say?
on a shelf in a fridge.
So, people, I'm getting rid of almost everything moving to Townsville.
Joe's
And
is
it
selling
is-
up.
Yeah, if I
Selling
or
everything.
giving it away.
There's a table. Oh no, this
Either
one's
way,
already gone. This
This
is
table's
table,
gone.
this
not
table
available.
has
This
gone.
one's not available.
All right, before we...
I had to actually convince the people to let me keep this table so we could have this dinner tonight. But I have a table up in Townsville already, so I've already brought some furniture up there. But seriously, like we are over consumers, and this is a huge issue. We are
So-
not just with food.
Yeah.
But
Wasteful.
with
They're
food,
wasteful,
we
aren't
are
we?
extraordinarily wasteful.
I-
And that's why I love antiques, right? Because I love antiques and older timber furniture because it's been built
I
to
could
last.
say something about this man I like. It's about...
If anybody actually wants some furniture, you can't see it now. PM me because I have a fair bit on offer.
But talking about that,
Sorry,
I really
just add
like
that in.
what he's doing
Nobody's
about...
watching now, but it's okay.
He's
Paul's
doing
trying to
about 5th of August.
5th of August, homeless
Yeah.
for a night.
Homeless for a night.
Yeah, out in the streets.
Is that a bit of a coordinated effort across
Yeah, a bit
Australia?
of-
They to do it.
No,
or-
it's just Toowoomba based services. They were nearly broke 5 years ago, so
But they're doing pretty well now.
they're doing good. They're getting government funding, a little bit of
And
government
Is that a
they've
funding.
won a
weekend,
couple of
Daryl?
RTOs.
Is
It's
that
a Monday night. So
Monday night?
Monday night, the 5th of August, out in the streets. We're trying to raise $100,000 for base services.
My birthday's the 7th of August, so if you want to
7th of
donate
August,
to me, that's okay too.
It's all
Sorry.
about Joseph.
Monday
It's all
night.
about Joseph. Yeah, so
Sorry.
Do we have to sleep without a swag or a
no,
sleeping
well,
bag?
what we
or-
do is at minimum we've got to raise is 200. That helps pay for the swag. So there's 100 of us, so we'll have 100 swags available in Toowoomba for homeless people. So they've got to go through a process of applying for those swags, but they provide meals every day, Monday to Friday, for homeless people.
They're fantastic.
And
That's Tiffany.
It's Nat and Tiff,
yeah,
Nat and
they're
Tiff
brilliant.
sparring. Just so absolutely amazing. And the idea is, and they've proven this, if homeless people have got a full tummy through the day, it reduces crime rate.
Wow.
So that's the theory.
but you
But
know-
nice
Hunger
lot of-
Okay,
drives
so can I
crime.
go?
Hunger drives crime. That's
So-
right. Desperate men, desperate women,
Desperation.
desperate
But
things.
beyond the Toowoomba model,
Yep.
right? If Toowoomba actually provided accommodation, so there's actually been, there's the first housing models and
Yep.
lots of actually first home models
Yep.
across the UK and the US as
Mhm.
well, which is similar to Australia. When you actually, so in Australia often still, we wait and we say, you need to prove that you have a job before we'll give you accommodation.
You've got
Right?
to prove income, yep. Yep.
It's hard.
It's bloody
It
hard.
can be hard.
Yeah.
I'm a single mum, moving
Mhm.
to Townsville, no job up
Yep,
there,
yep.
just wanting to rent.
Yep.
It's hard.
Yep.
They don't necessarily want to rent to me because it's
Mm.
hard.
Yep.
Anyway, not a
So-
story. But
So Daryl, just
but-
coming back to the 5th of
but-
August,
but-
what's happening? Because like I'm just thinking, keen to support,
Yeah, yeah.
turn
So-
up. What can people
So,
do? You're having
I'm
an
gonna
event
say
on the
we're-
night.
We're all community leaders, so we're all going to meet at 7 o'clock at base services, get our swag, and then we'll move through the night through the city and experience what homeless people go through. Nat and Tiff give us some
How many people
education.
do you think you might get?
there's heaps.
There'll be 100 on the night at least.
Awesome.
100.
Maybe
And-
102. I'll bring a friend. That'll be 102.
And
Well, I
you
know
can still
Alice,
nominate. You can still
Alison
nominate.
Kennedy's still waiting to raise enough money for her swag.
Yeah, she's
So-
she's still working on that.
Yeah.
So, where was I going with this? And probably the thing you mentioned, Jen Shaw before from Emerge. We've got Jackie Armstrong and Amanda Dalton with Proteus Place. All these groups are working together to help, because there's nowhere for women to go who are in a domestic violence situations. They've got
Or
to jump a
people.
bus and get to Brisbane.
I'll share some links later for
Yeah,
these for any of my followers who want to jump on.
because I'm still looking for more donations. So, and we're about 45,000 of the 100,000 so far. So we should get that target of
It'll come
100,000.
through.
Awesome.
But the trick really is around solving the problem, right? And the problem really is around housing. So when you look at homelessness and all the other
It's
issues,
actually about mental health.
Yes.
well,
In
it sort of
Australia, the
is.
big thing
And
is
domestic
Sorry,
violence.
but can I say
Going a step back.
the first step is housing. So even people with mental health issues, until you give them a safe place to stay and live and be safe.
So research
It's really
actually
hard.
shows that people who did have housing but had mental health issues finish up
Lose.
back on the street.
Yeah, but the
Yes.
problem is the right housing.
You know, but the problem is not here. Mental health is absolute rubbish. I remember when I was in a crisis a few years ago. See, I did think about killing myself when I was 16. It means I never go back to that place, and if I ever talk about that, it's to teenagers. But a few years ago, I had the flu. I didn't have enough money to pay my rent.
Mhm.
I was in the worst place ever. And I did go to the hospital, and I was crying, and the hospital said, oh, maybe you had to do a mental health program, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And I was embarrassing that they're going, when I go home, oh my God, I was so bad last night, they're probably going to send someone to check on me. Because the night before, I really was, if I was a professional person, a professional health provider, this woman is suicidal. I would have been on that bracket of danger.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassing that the next day I was okay, and I was embarrassing they would have sent someone to check on me.
Mhm.
Never. No, one person come and check
Never
on
check.
me.
Yeah.
Even if the night before they put me like I should have gone into a mental health.
Watch. Yeah.
It's like, wow. I was like, wow, because I was okay because I had my crisis so young that I would never go there.
Yeah.
But you imagine how many people get lost in the system because there's no support. It's not like, okay, we see this person is not okay, we need to send someone, we need to put it in the system, we had to, all this process is no process.
Mm.
Then a
Well,
woman
do you know
come.
what it is? There's no follow-up.
Yeah, exactly.
the
It's
trick
18
is-
months later,
and-
some
and
woman
do
is
you know,
living in the car.
Can I say, there is nowhere for anyone to go.
Mm.
So if somebody is about to become homeless because of mental health issues, there's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues. So I've lived around mental health for 25 years, pretty well, and then I've worked in it for the last 10 years around primary health care and mental health issues and running promotional campaigns around mental health. And what I do know is that where the funding is lacking is in providing ground root support for people.
From the basic, because I say, if I was
From the
a,
basic.
because I was a
The
different.
basic is actually having somewhere to live and food to eat. So, right? So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's pretty simple. You need somewhere to feel safe, you need somewhere to eat, you need somewhere to feel safe where you live. And with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we do not as a society or a community actually in any way, shape or form actually enable that to happen. And it's tragic because you know, quite honestly, I've been close to it, right? So having a very interesting relationship over the last 20 years and stuff, and being where I've been and stuff, it's been a very interesting place for me to be. And you go...
But that is the problem. You see, I become, you know, I grow my business. I have, you know, since then, that annoys me because people look at me and like, oh, you do amazing things. You can imagine how many, because I do wine tasting, I do this, I do, you know, I'm the woman in the ground belt. And it's like, wow.
Nobody's paying me for it.
Still got the same battles going on.
But
behind
the
scenes.
problem
And-
is
and
that
that's
imagine if I wasn't the woman in the ground belt. Imagine
you're-
if I want someone that was more weak or, and I would not call, you know, like society would
But
call it weak, but it's just
but-
probably just normal person
Can
that
I say...
have no support because all my family is in Spain. My husband was my best friend,
but
and
Yeah.
all go with the marriage.
but
No
the flip,
family, no husband, no
but
nothing.
the flip side of that is if you're a bloke, how different that would be too.
Would be
and-
worse.
No, it wouldn't be worse.
Oh no. I believe. I'm sorry. I believe that if
I
a
don't.
man in my situation, an immigrant, okay, we have to
I
put it
never
on that
thought
way.
maybe.
Immigrant with no family, ex-wife, not told to you anymore. You have a kid, and you had to work on your own,
Man.
and you had to feed your kid and go
Yeah.
to work and blah blah blah.
Sorry, I'm talking about a man. I'm talking about your ex-husband. So
No. But
so
no. What I mean is, I say, if you're an immigrant and you're in that situation without support, you will be in the same place that I was because
Yeah,
it's a bad
very
place
true.
to be.
But the other flip side of that is that we live in a very patriarchal society, still in Australia. And no offence to any men out there, I absolutely love you and adore you. But it's a very patriarchal society, and the trick really is around how do we make that a fairer...
Yes, but
outcome.
patriarchal
Because-
society to
But
be.
you know, it's actually not even
Yeah.
about that. How do we look after people?
Yeah,
How
but
do
I
we
think,
actually
but
make sure when people are
Yeah,
actually...
we'll go around the corner and have a,
no,
have
you
a
can.
chat. The
You
ladies
no,
can fight this one out.
But I don't think. But I think patriarchal
No, that's
society
true.
to be like a standard man, because in the moment a man is not like the patriarchal society want to be. You are excluded of the support.
So
Oh,
okay, so
yeah, what?
let me go back. I'll go back to even a more basic level. And my trick is that as a
I don't want to
community...
know their faces. You prove.
We probably should wrap up the live sometime
Very
soon.
soon. But let's talk about community because that's really important to
yeah,
me.
community.
So
but-
how do we actually
Anyway, we're
make
going back to
people help each other? Because that's what it actually
Well,
comes down to.
We're actually finding.
Regardless of governments, how do we help people to help each other? Because
Well,
that's
just
what
from
it's
what
about.
I'm seeing in Toowoomba, I sit on the Toowoomba Safer Regional Partnerships, and I'm more the promotions person there. I don't work at the social level, getting down into it.
Who
We've
runs
got
that?
Jeff McDonald chairs that.
Part
and
of
Jeff,
council?
yeah, it's part of council, Toowoomba Regional Council. So we've got probation and parole there. We've got Wilsonton Community Heights Centre, Lifeline, the Buddhists come along as well. There's a whole group that we're
Yeah.
just trying to work together. Protea's Place pop in time to time, Nat and Tiff.
Is that Amanda too? No, Amanda.
Yeah,
Dalton?
Amanda Dalton's in there.
Yeah.
And all these groups are working together. And if I can just say, there's one kid at Base Services at Second Shot. His name's, God, I've forgotten his name, isn't that terrible? But the young fella, he's been
The
homeless.
community.
He
You're a
was,
story like me.
he's 14 and he had to leave home because his stepfather was bashing him. And he spent 4 years in Cavill Avenue. just living on the streets of Cattle Avenue in Surfers Paradise. And he'd heard about Toowoomba
14 years.
4 years.
Oh,
He was 14 years old.
Oh,
Can I say
Yes.
4 years is a long
Yeah.
time?
It's a long
So
time.
That's a long time.
he decided to make his way to Toowoomba because he heard that there was all these services up there, and he came and met Nat and Tiff,
Who are
got to second
beautiful
shot.
people.
got to second shot,
Yeah. Great
and he's
people.
done his certificate in hospitality. He's working there now, and Nat and Tiff are turning programs where they're getting homeless kids with their certificate fours. There's even older adults down at Base Services. They're doing that in the soup kitchen, and they're giving people an opportunity. And what
Yeah.
Nat and Tiff say is just giving people a second chance.
It is.
But the word is getting out in Queensland that Toowoomba has got all the facilities
But
because
you
all the
know,
groups are talking to each
they
other.
are.
And important
but
to-
Nat and Tiff also actually allow the services to come to where the people are.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and that's one of the really critical things that I was talking about before.
And I
That
think,
my son's
but
singing.
another thing, and another thing I think is important is we have to remember and we have to be more grateful. And it's not about giving person a second chance; it's give a third or fourth or
Yeah,
fifth.
yeah.
You know, like saying someone, well, you know, some people are drugs addicts and this and that and that. You cannot throw it to the rubbish because they are convenient to you. I think you know
Yeah.
because it's, you know you have to give as much opportunities to people to live.
So, Josie, I want to say, when I met you in Toowoomba, and that's going back 4 or 5 years ago, you did some incredible work there, and I can see that you're going to do some incredible work in Townsville when you get up there and
I hope
bring
so.
community together and find people like me and Kim Cahill and Kristen O'Brien and those people that can
And all
pull
the
together and
councillors
promote
who are there
Toowoomba.
and everybody else.
Promote Townsville. the
Yeah,
way
look,
that we're doing Toowoomba.
I'm very excited about it because Townsville have just had floods too.
Mm.
And not long after I had my last child, Toowoomba had floods,
Mm.
and it is a very difficult place to move on from.
Mm.
And I can see Townsville think. So Townsville are like most of us, right? They're trying to be positive and they're trying to move on really
Mm.
quickly. It takes time.
Mm.
It always takes time. But one of the beautiful things I see about Townsville is that the local government there are so keen on promoting the people and the community there and
Mhm.
connecting the community and people
Yeah.
there. So, you know,
Cool.
that's a great thing.
That's great.
So, people, I'm moving to Townsville. Cannot wait.
Yep.
One more week. I'll
And
be
you'll be up
there.
there.
Well, one more week and a few days.
I'm sure you'll do some good work. up there.
And let's see how overwhelmed I am and if I'm in a fetal position in the corner of a room
No,
by
this
the
is
time I
going to
get
be
there.
fabulous.
Look, this,
Let's see. I'm not. Look, if you could look around my house at the moment, you see just piles of books on the floor and piles of clothes. And Greg, you've been extraordinarily quiet.
Yeah, no, the conversation's flowing without me. I'm just listening.
Anyway, you have to.
so every Thursday night, Farmer Greggy's on 7:30.
Who is
every
an
Thursday night.
amazing person. He's going to start doing that again every single week.
That's
aren't
right.
you, Greg?
I was doing, and any
This
of my crew who have
This
been
is his
watching,
business.
I was doing
Oh,
a
taste what place.
Thursday
No,
night
no joke.
Live with Farmer Greggy every single week. For,
Yeah, you were doing that.
yeah, all last year.
Mm.
But I guess I ran into a bit of a roadblock where things weren't changing, it wasn't happening, it wasn't working, and I've
So
stepped back
I've
and done a
done
bit
like
of analysis.
I've got my new marketing agency. Can you employ me?
Yeah, Josie
Right.
desperately wants to help me figure out how to make whatever I'm doing work.
Cameron
Because
McKee
you
wants me
have
to give
such
Josie
beautiful-
another glass
And
of
I'm
wine.
keen to figure out.
Do you know Cameron McKee? Yeah, we're out of wine.
I'm
We
keen.
ran out of wine. I've been
We've got a
for
winemaker
bottles
here and no
of
wine left.
Yeah,
For what?
I'm good for a top up.
For bottles of we ran out.
Bottles of
No,
empty, mate.
another bottle. One of the
got
other
none.
ones. They're all empty. Yeah.
And I was like,
There is Kahlua in the cupboard if we go, and there's
I've got
secret
milk.
milk.
We're going to finish the
Oh, I
live
thought
and we'll
I
get on the
could have
Kahlua and
freaked them out,
lactose free.
Okay.
But
But it's true, right? Like
for me, it's been a challenging time, and I think we've all been through this very recently. I mean, very recently, we've all had some big challenges this year, and the ups and downs sort of happen. For me, it's been business and personal. And before we even started this live, we were talking a little bit about whatever's going on in your personal life affects your business life.
oh God.
If you're a business owner, and it's like, it's one and the same, you can't separate it. It's like, I know it's separate, but it affects who you are and how you function. So that's a little bit why I took a bit of a sabbatical from social media,
Me too.
and
I
I
did
stopped doing
I've
You
got
know,
behind the camera instead of in front of it.
Yeah, you know, for Real
Yeah.
Milk and Farmer Greggy, I stayed really quiet, and I was like a couple of months, I didn't do much at all, but it's nice stepping back from that. What I did find, a lot of people who have been following what I've been sharing sort of reached out and said, but we're missing you and we want to see. We want to see your story, and you've got to keep sharing your story. So
Do you know what I think it is? People find comfort in other people's stories. So it's really hard when you're going through a tough time and you
Sure.
think it's only you. And then you hear
Yeah.
other people's stories and you hear other people's success and failure stories. So my thing is that, you know, people, I'm always, so we were talking about this earlier, right? Like I look very fair and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I actually have a very Middle Eastern background that's,
Lebanese,
yeah, Lebanese.
No,
People don't,
We've been on 2 hours.
too easy.
people, that's all right.
Yeah, it's right.
People don't necessarily see it or whatever, but they assume and they
And
judge
it's
a
still
book
part
by
of your
its cover.
heritage. It's part of who you
Oh
are.
God, I'm first generation Lebanese, Australian, right? So
Yeah.
so for me, I'm more Lebanese than most of the people who look very Lebanese, and I've been there more than most of the people who look Lebanese. So,
It's funny because I have Irish, Scottish,
well,
and English
I have Irish,
background.
English, and Austrian too. So.
Anyone, an internal fight going on because there's also some German in there,
Okay.
and a little bit of Chinese somewhere somehow.
Which is like my Lebanese, which
But-
makes you very conflicted because, well, at
But-
least with Lebanese, they've all been in
See,
that civil war. For 30
My
years.
skin, my complexion is not really tailor made for Australian conditions, and a lot of people love to tell me on social media
Is it dead?
how
Yep.
I look so unhealthy and I'm going to die soon because I eat meat and drink milk. And we didn't even get to talking about our vegan friends tonight, but
It's late enough.
they are genuinely our friends. We love our vegan friends
Thanks.
dearly.
Thanks.
And I guess before we started
Oh, excuse
tonight's
me.
live,
Oh.
Josie's moving to Townsville, and I said to Paola and Daryl, we need to fly up to Townsville and do part 2 of this story
This
live from
epic
Townsville.
10-hour story that will go forever.
We'll do it on the Strand next time. We'll set up live from the
It is
Strand.
so beautiful there. Like,
Yeah,
I love it there.
Be gorgeous.
Can you come before the heat of summer though?
Yeah, we'll do it in the
Apparently
spring.
I've heard the heat of summer is not worth.
No,
standing.
I think it should be like a early September kind of a thing.
Yeah, do that.
Early September.
Daryl's thinking, what have I got on?
Carnival flowers.
Yeah, it is. That's
Middle,
like September.
late.
Maybe very
early
October.
It's already scorching heat in Townsville by October. But
Don't tell me.
But I'm keen
I'm
for us
moving
to have
there.
another
It's like-
catch up. And
It's like snow skiing. I'm always good when I go somewhere to snow ski. It snows. Beautiful weather.
cool.
Yeah,
So
sounds
we,
wonderful.
Josie, we need to wrap up this live because even though I know some people are still watching, and hey, you guys are awesome. You've been
Thank you.
enjoying
Very
our
Okay.
insights into life.
And we didn't even touch on a lot of the subjects we actually mentioned
There was
earlier.
stuff
No,
off
we
camera.
should have been Facebook
Stuff.
living the pre-dinner chat.
Oh, probably not.
That would have been, no, I reckon it would have been
I think
awesome.
that's not a good idea. We've been much cleaner since we went live.
No, more about my book cover.
Book cover.
We're not going there.
No, we're not
We're not
going
going
to the
there.
book cover.
Until you
Any
until you
others,
buy
if
the
you
book.
want to know.
When the book comes out, you'll see
But
the
it's
book cover.
anonymous means I never make that book. Anyway.
Anyone who wants to know about Paola's book cover, just message me later and I'll fill you in on the blanks. But we're not going to talk about it on air.
Righto. Okay, well, I'm
Awesome.
going to sign off.
We're going
Josie's
to
dropped
hit the
out.
stop button.
So I don't have phone.
My live
Thanks.
has dropped out because
Thanks, Josie,
Thank
Paola,
you.
Daryl. Great
Thanks,
having a
Dara,
chat.
Paola.
Thanks to you guys on
Thank you.
MySpace for
Thank you very much.
being with us for
So
this
yeah,
time.
so I've been on the road out to
And-
Stanthorpe, heading back in tomorrow. So
We're
Bye.
done. We're
We're
done.
done.
See ya.
Thank
see you later.
Bye.
Take care.